Good morning. All right, we're going to kick it off. Thank you all very much for being here and for people online who are joining us. My name is Summer Wilkie. I'm a citizen of the Cherokee Nation from Westville, Oklahoma, and I'm the Next Generation Manager for the Indigenous Food and Agriculture Initiative. And we have been on campus all week. Yeah, that's right. We've been on campus all week at the University of Arkansas, participating in and facilitating the Native Youth in Food and Agriculture Leadership Summit. It's been a good week. We had some really awesome highlights, and then we also were impacted by the global IT outage that impacted our agenda, but I really have to give credit to all the participants for being responsible, positive, taking care of one another, and participating as much as they could in this event that we have planned. I really hope you all got good stuff out of it. It's been so fun getting to know you. But what we're about to do this morning is we're going to share our capstone presentation. So part of the agenda for the summit is for the participants to break out into small groups, and those are land stewardship and conservation, agricultural law and policy, ag business and finance, health and nutrition, and animal science. This year was a new track that we added. And so in their small tracks, they have been working on a capstone project, which is like a problem statement that they are solving together using synthesizing the information that they have gained throughout the week of the summit and the knowledge that they brought to the event, and then also their own unique perspectives and experiences as Indigenous people. And so that we're going to be hearing from them all morning and into the afternoon on what they have, what their capstone has been, what their assignment was, and how they decided to address that. So with that, I'm going to pass the microphone over to Kelly Case, my coworker. She is the track leader for the law and policy track, and we'll begin with their presentations.
Do I need to be at the mic for folks to hear me online?
I think you can hear without it.
Yeah, fantastic. Y'all can hear me holler. Good morning, everybody. Like Summer said, my name is Kelly Case. I serve as senior staff attorney here at the Indigenous Food and Ag Initiative. I'm a citizen of the Chickasaw Nation, and I got to spend the week with the incredible Ag Law and Policy group. This group had 2 calls to action this week. The first one is to talk about how you would go about standing up a tribal department of ag. No easy feat, but they did a lot of work and a lot of research, and their goal is to pitch a tribal department of ag to a pretend tribal council. Tish, would you mind raising your hand? Tish is going to be one of our other council members this week for our group members. Valerie and I will be your other council members. So first presentation, they're going to give you a pitch for standing up a tribal department of ag as done for a tribal council. Important note, our pretend tribe name evolved over the week. We've just been calling it capital T tribe as a shortcut. So if they refer to it as CT Nation, that is short for capital T tribe. And make your own fun when you're doing this, folks. Their second call to action was to create a briefing paper and a document to prepare tribal leaders who would ask them, what the heck is the Farm Bill? Why does it matter to us? Tell us all about this. And we kept hearing about this organization called NFBC or Native Farm Bill Coalition. What is that all about? So again, to a pretend tribal council, they're going to be giving them a very short briefing of exactly what they need to know to have really productive meetings in DC. 2 calls to action, which by the way, they could have picked to just do one, but they both had to spend all week learning about it and did an incredible job. So they opted to take on more work and really impress us this week with all of their knowledge. So Ag Law and Policy Group, come on up. We will do presentation 1, take a 5-minute beat for questions from the council and from y'all. Switch and go to the second one, wrap with another 5 minutes of questions.
Okay. Yes, amen. Good morning, everyone. My name is Eden Clytus. I'm part of the law and policy team, and we're going to be presenting on why a tribe should invest in the Department of Agriculture. Hello, my name is Kayla Redbo, and I'm enrolled in law and Code.
Hello, my name is Amelia Joaquin. I'm from California, and my tribe is the Yautja Yautja Northern Chumash tribe of California.
Because it's a daily knowledge. Hello everyone, my name is Damon. I'm from Dallas.
Hello, my part.
All right, well, to get started, we're going to go ahead and talk about our main question for this presentation of why is it important for a tribe to develop part of agriculture. So to go into that, we're going to highlight some of the main benefits that can contribute to a tribe community. So starting out, so here are some of the main benefits that a Department of Agriculture can offer to a tribe. One of those is the opportunity for cultural revitalization through food ways. The Department of Agriculture gives a tribe the opportunity to navigate rediscovering our cultural foods, as well as the ability to support local economies, as we'll talk about a little bit more in this presentation. Another example of how the Department of Agriculture could be beneficial to a tribe is having a main point of contact for other, maybe cross-departmental communication or a point of contact for agriculture initiatives in a tribe, as well as supporting the local community with their agricultural ventures. Another example of how it can be beneficial for a tribe is the opportunity to build community relationships. It's a hub to rediscover cultural foodways, to communicate with other community members. It's also a great opportunity to develop job skills for a tribe and increase employment opportunities, maybe through the Department of Agriculture, or give our community members the skills they might need to carry out whatever employment opportunities they want on their own, whether it be through grant writing or maybe just farming in our Department of Agriculture. Another example is the health benefits that fresh produce can offer a community, as well as the opportunity with reconnecting through those cultural foods. There's a lot of there's more health benefits than just fresh produce, but it's also healing for a community to reconnect in the way that a Department of Agriculture can offer a community. Lastly, a Department of Agriculture serves as a hub for nutrition education, which is what we'll talk about a little bit more. All right, so here we're going to talk about some of our long-term goals with the Department of Agriculture.
So here we have some long-term goals. So full circle food sovereignty. So what does that mean? So that means our tribe being part of the process from the planning to the preparation, the planting to the harvesting and processing, and getting that produce into the hands of our consumers, which is our tribal members. We also want to work on land stewardship, so our traditional territories, and that means working with our resources, and that includes waterways. With that, working with elders to help vitalize our culture. And lastly, we like to work on economic development for our tribe. So that means generating money and mostly generating services with and for our tribal members. So here we have some goals. We laid them out short-term and long-term. So firstly, our one-year goal is to mostly just stand up this greenhouse project that we have and really start having a harvest of produce for our tribal members to gain access to nutrient-dense foods. Secondly, we'd like to create a strong Department of Agriculture, and that means creating a team who organize and streamline the process of the projects that we have in place.
So we're going to talk about the opportunities for growth and our tribe, capital T, has some opportunities for growth. We have the fact that we live in a food desert, which our nearest grocery store is 2 hours away. This Department of Ag will help in terms of feeding our people and providing access to fresh food. We also have the reality of our short growing season. Our greenhouse project will extend the season and provide produce for longer periods of time. And we also had a past failed greenhouse for the last 15 years ago, and our department will learn from our failure and provide better planning and funding and management. Another opportunity is our current producers have little support. And so we want to be able to serve as a point of contact and provide subject matter The last is our job market is pretty tight in our tribe, and we would like to create the job skill trainings and implement trainings with our department. But we have some current resources and assets that we as a tribe hold. We have water access to a large river. We also have the areas for production levels and parental rating. We have the farmers market starting at the senior center. We have a building near the greenhouse with some offices. We also have a strong youth outreach and internship program. And we also have some available funds. Next, we'll be able to talk about the structure of the Department of Ag and how that's going to look.
This is a visual to show the structure of the Department of Agriculture. In it, we have current operations that are being integrated from the previous projects that are open, like the youth programs, farmers market, and the nutrition program. What we hope to incorporate within this department is the greenhouse, community engagement, and event manager.
Okay, so to kind of give some clarification to why we want to staff the way we do, we currently wanted to create grants or use grants to really create a job market for the tribe. That being said, most of these departments are not going to start off with 3 or 4 people. We'll probably start off with 4, and then the long-term goal is to go up to 2 to 3 people, especially for the grants department. One thing about writing grants for tribes is it's very valuable, but it can also be very challenging. Typically, with the grants department, you want at minimum 3 people so that they can have a review process. This also gives you a better chance of retaining and getting money every year. We also want a communications department. That's very valuable as far as trying to develop resources, which is essentially what we're trying to do in the Department of Agriculture. So just being able to create a department that makes tribal members aware that these resources exist and they're being created. And greenhouse production as well. So we currently don't have a greenhouse, but we're hoping to make it and then after a year or 2, start cultivating with it. That being said, we're hoping to use 2 to 3 people. We really want to dip into the youth programs and create jobs for them. The really awesome thing about the Department of Agriculture and a tribal nation controlling it is that they have the opportunity to kind of pass down that cultural knowledge to the next generation of students and youth. So we're hoping to dip into the youth program to teach these kids from the elders all the cultural experience that's necessary to maintain tribal land.
Our tribe currently has an operating tribally supported farmers market at the senior center. Part of this function of the Department of Agriculture is to fold in the farmers market in order to improve and include the cultivation of agriculture practice and education within the tribe to ensure the longevity of its function. This allows easy accessible produce provided for our elders and encourages attraction within the senior center.
So in addition to our farmers market at the senior center and previous greenhouse operations, which we intend to build through this Department of Agriculture, our tribe also has a robust youth programming initiative. We have internships and course or class credit opportunities for our tribal youth. So the Department of Agriculture can also serve as an incredible opportunity to provide more job skills and opportunities, hands-on experience for our tribal youth and eventual employment opportunities too through the Department of Agriculture. It's important, that youth have those job skills trainings even before they get into college or higher academia. So using this robust internship program and using that communications department that we talked about to be a great opportunity to get our youth more involved and start a new generation of cultivators and leaders in the agricultural field. So that eventually we hope to use this youth programming to partner with local schools or potentially universities for research through our Department of Agriculture. And this department will also serve as a great opportunity to expand our greenhouse operations and improve the labor force within our Department of Agriculture.
The greenhouse will be utilized as a service program. So far, we have level ground ready to build a greenhouse, and we will be able to set up operations to garner money for the building supplies, the payoffs, the construction crews, the greenhouse care materials, including fertilizer and seeds. We aim to open up the planting opportunities for our community, encouraging those with seeds or knowledge in cultivating seeds to come and fulfill their own seeds in their own plots. The greenhouse will be ran under the Department of Agriculture. We will provide shelf space in the office with available produce that members can retrieve for free. If there are any accessibility demands, we would encourage anybody needing delivery to call the office and set up a drop-off plan with their chosen person.
So we do have some considerations we have to think about with this project. So short term, when we have a harvest from the greenhouse, how do we preserve and process these crops to make sure that there's no waste and that it is used to its maximum benefit? So that might include holding classes with elders for canning and drying, learning that process and sharing that knowledge. Another short-term consideration is access to goods. So how best can what are the multiple pathways that we can take to get food to our tribal members? So is that through delivery boxes, or is that through showing up at events and tabling? The last short-term consideration is infrastructure. So we do need to invest in gear to get this project started, Project Baby Greenhouse. Luckily, there are many USDA, among other grants, that can be utilized, which would mean it would be little to no cost for us to start a venture. For long-term considerations, we're thinking about having produce factories. So we want to create our own nutrition program in our tribe. And we want to make sure that cost is not going to be a barrier that affects our tribal members from accessing fresh produce. As well, we want to take care of our tribal producers, make sure that they have money to continue their efforts in the community. And for long-term grants, talk about that in further slide.
Okay, so a lot of these grants up here are specifically for creating payroll and job opportunities, specifically paid internships. So we have the Native American Business Development Institute grant, we have the Social and Economic Development Strategies grant, and we have the Public Works and Economic Adjustment Assistance grant. Some other grants that we didn't put up there is the BIA and your funding and the GSA, which is the Government Service Agency. Something really great about the Government Service Agency is that they are an opportunity for tribes to use repurposed farming equipment. And the only cost for the tribe would be to ship that equipment out to the tribal lands. And kind of just to tie this all together and wrap it up, how many of you are in college right now? Okay, almost all of you. So, as a recent graduate, one of the struggles is finding a job that wants to hire you because they don't just want education, they want experience. So again, these grants are going to be funding paid internships for youth and students that are going to be going out to the real world, going to college. And really, honestly, these grants are valuable because they're going to create an opportunity for generational wealth, right? That's education. So we're talking about wanting to pass down that cultural knowledge. You're also passing down the opportunity to work and get that experience and get the education so that you have the best opportunity to be successful when you become an adult and when you graduate. And I think that's it. Any questions?
Yes. We're acting as grumpy committee members. Please don't take this as my actual opinion, don't matter. So is this going to be turning a profit? Is it going to be service-based? How much money are we sinking into this?
That's an excellent question. So as a tribe or as a Department of Agriculture, we're hoping to be a service-focused department, meaning that we're not necessarily working for profit. We just want to create resources and give produce to the community at no cost to the tribal nation. That's why there's such an emphasis on grants, because they're not like loans. That's not something you have to commit to and pay back later. That's especially smart when you're trying to start off with the Department of Agriculture. That might change in the future, but I think it's a good stepping point. That's an excellent question.
How are you going to ensure that the food supply is safe to our tribal members?
That's an awesome question. Food safety is a big issue that we talked about during our briefing.
So with food safety, this is exactly why Department of Agriculture agriculture would be beneficial. Again, it would serve as a point of opportunity to hire people who could help with those food safety initiatives. Without the Department of Agriculture, it's a little bit more difficult to regulate food safety. So if we invest in this, especially with those grants for hiring opportunities, we can invest in the staff who can ensure that we're providing safe and healthy foods to our tribal community.
Yes. So the people who are working at the greenhouse, how are we going to ensure that they're actually producing culturally relevant food? And for the food that we are producing that isn't relevant, is there going to be some kind of way that we can help people learn how to utilize that food?
Thank you for that question. So I think that our plan is to work with our elders especially, and try to help hold some roundtables and just ask our community, what do you want to see being grown here? And why is it important? I think this will be a great time to really connect back with elders and keep that community aspect alive. Secondly, when we have the greenhouse built and we start having produce being harvestable, if our tribal members are like, what is this? It's been a long time since I've been with this plant relative. We're going to try to have a 5-year goal of kind of creating like a test kitchen. It'll probably be next to the greenhouse or on the farm in general. And just holding cooking workshops, bringing in some of our Indigenous chefs, teaching recipes, making sure our tribal members not only going home with the produce, but are knowing how to prepare it and cook it and enjoy it with their family. So thank you for that.
Okay, we've given them the grumpy questions. Who else has got them?
There's one here, there's one there.
So it kind of sounds like the main focus is for a greenhouse. What's kind of the difference between someone living in town, having a garden, just going out back and being able to pick their own stuff? Why a greenhouse as compared to?
A greenhouse is a little more innovative in a sense to garden. Not a lot of people can afford the infrastructure to build a greenhouse and do not have the ability to sometimes. This would be funded through the tribes, which would be supporting the grants that could be applied. So they would be able to use more resources that are outside of their local economy, and it would be able to help garner local economy through allowing different tribal citizens to go in and okay, you use their own spaces that aren't in their backyard. They don't have to use up all their space in their backyard. They can go in, grow their plants. They can sorry.
I'd just like to add to that question too. Something that our tribe, a challenge for our tribe is the fact that there's a short growing season as well. So in order to create longevity for access to fresh produce, a greenhouse would offer that opportunity. Because we aim to be a service organization as well, there's an opportunity for community plots. So the opportunity to grow in your backyard isn't eliminated for tribal members, but having this greenhouse gives the opportunity to extend the growing season one, and then we offer community plots as well. So they can use their greenhouse or they have the opportunity to grow in their own home as well. Yes.
Very well framed justification for another government agency within tribal government. You made the case. Now, give me a plan. How many, if I'm tribal council or the president or chief and I have to allocate budget, who do I need? I obviously need a Secretary of Agriculture. For phase one, who else do I need? How many people have to be on staff? Make it up.
They have a slide on it.
I know you do. I saw it. But let's go back to that because every one of those positions equals money. Because that's the job of the council, allocate the money.
So starting off, it would be 3.
3.
Yes.
How much will that cost? Now, the 3 you have, though, are the grant. What are the 3?
Our grant manager, our communications department manager, and the youth department manager.
But if you're going to have a department, you need a secretary or a director to oversee the department. So that's the 4th, right? You need somebody over all 3 of those to coordinate them. So that's 4. And let's just run the numbers. You're talking about $250,000 a year of salary there. That's a reasonable estimate, a minimum reasonable estimate. So don't shy away from that, but you have to make the value case. And I think you've done a good job of making the value case. But the first question you're going to be asked is how much and where's it going to come from and why? And I think you've done a really good job of framing that.
Thank you for your question. Any more questions?
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more.
Yeah, awesome work. And so this group, they just kind of have two projects, so we're going to switch to their briefing. Do you want to just explain one more time what's on this?
So this is our policy brief to present to our tribe. We were asked to give a brief of what the Farm Bill is and what is the Native Farm Bill Coalition and how does that relate to our tribe. So this will kind of explain what the Farm Bill is and go into what the NFBC is and how it might be beneficial for our initiatives. All right, start. So what is the Farm Bill?
Okay, so what is the Farm Bill? The Farm Bill is a piece of legislation that addresses agriculture, legal issues, and laws across any country and United States. So typically, you want to pass a Farm Bill every 5 years. However, Congress is known for putting many extensions on it. For those of you that don't know, we currently are still using the 2018 Farm Bill's provisions. But the good thing about that is that it had, I think, 63 native provisions written into it. So it's still something that's benefiting us. And the breakdown, so there's 12 separate titles that make up the Farm Bill. You can think of these as chapters in a chapter book. And these are all the different sections that you can kind of look at. Also, if you just want to look at a specific section in the Farm Bill, you just control F on your computer and then look up a specific title or word you want to use. The origins of it is that it came out of the Great Depression as a dust bowl, and it was essentially to address and ensure an adequate food supply for the nation. And up until the 1990s, the Farm Bill didn't actually include any native provisions. So that's why it's really essential to creating Native Farm Bill Coalition made up of natives that can address our issues and make sure that our issues are addressed in the making of the bill.
As mentioned, we're still running off of the 2018 Farm Bill, which is significant to Indian country. Through policy breakthroughs, the historic 63 separate Native-related provisions aim to address historical disparities and provide unprecedented gains to farming policy for Native American farmers and ranchers. The piece of legislation is typically a bipartisan piece of legislation, but due to a lack of collaboration and initiative, there's been a lot of issues in passing any of recent legislation. We want to monitor this Farm Bill. The committees to monitor the ones that oversee these legislative bills are the Senate Committee on Agriculture, Distribution and Forestry, House Committee on Agriculture, Senate Committee on Indigenous Affairs. There are the organizations that support this legislation include the Indigenous Food and Agriculture Initiative, the Tribal Agriculture Coalition, the Native American Agricultural Fund, and the Native American Farm Bill Coalition.
The Farm Bill is an important piece of legislation, and it's important for tribal members and Indian country to pay attention to. And I have listed these 5 points. Number 1 is that it is a huge piece of funding. We have a chart here to show the USDA and BIA contribution in terms of just funding, and we have more money from the USDA that flows into Indian country than the BIA. The second reason is food insecurity is high in Indigenous communities. The nutrition title in the Farm Bill is it funds SNAP, so we need to create that food security for our communities. 3 is conservation. Indigenous people are stewards of Mother Earth, and so paying attention to the Farm Bill is important for Indigenous people to to know about the programs that are being funded through the Farm Bill. And then 4 is research. The Farm Bill funds research, and it allows us, it gives money to the tribal colleges and universities, and and then number 5 is rural development. Access to infrastructure, water, businesses in Indian country.
All right, so now we've talked a little bit about the Farm Bill, but what is the Native Farm Bill Coalition, or NFBC? NFBC is a coalition of tribes, tribal organizers, and allies, basically who aim to uplift Native voices and advance policy agenda for Indian country. Founded in 2017, this organization helps with pushing policy agenda anywhere from advancing issues related to farming and ranching, helping with nutrition programming, as we mentioned, rural development, as well as forestry initiatives. This organization, some of the main groups that founded this organization include the Intertribal Agricultural Council, the Shakopee Sioux community, as well as the National Congress of American Indians, and their research partner, the Indigenous Food and Agriculture Initiative. Basically, NFBC was founded to help develop and make tribes more inclusive with the Farm Bill. In its founding since 2017, their advocacy basically helped tribes insert 63 provisions, which made it the most tribally inclusive Farm Bill in 2018, as we mentioned, which is the current Farm Bill we're currently under. NFBC will continue to advocate and enforce and basically educate our policymakers about Indian country and why these different initiatives are important to Indian country, as well as providing information on nutritional and organizational issues, assisting in oversight of the Farm Bill, as well as urging Congress to expand recognition to tribes, and especially the Farm Bill. In its origin, tribes were not included in the Farm Bill, so that's why NFBC is really important to basically be a hub, a mass coalition to voice for Indian country. It wasn't until 1990 that tribes began to be included in the Farm Bill. Yes.
So the Native Farm Bill Coalition has done really amazing work, and they held over 60 roundtables going across Indian country from coast to coast, and talking with tribes and saying, what do you want to be included in the Native Farm Bill? Well, Farm Bill is one piece talking about what can we add as that Indigenous perspective, and so to fight for Indian country. And the main thing was food sovereignty that we're focusing on. So a lot of things on land stewardship, as well as creating our own nutritional program. So that means including our own Indigenous foods and what we eat, and a diet plan and a lifestyle. There's many listed here with the titles. Due to time, I'm not going to go into them. But yeah, huge focus on that food sovereignty aspect, and they've been doing really great work.
Right. So we thought it was important to kind of highlight the executive team related to the Native Farm Bill Coalition. Here are some of the co-chairs and council members related to the Native Farm Bill Coalition. Mind you, these are people who either come from tribal communities or are heavily involved in Indian country issues. These advocates, again, these are people who approve basically what Indian country wants to get done. This is the team. Again, it would be important to know that these guys have worked in Indian country and are dedicated to the cause, essentially. All right, and then with that, we thank you for listening to our presentation today. Is there any questions for our group? Yes.
What's our call to action here as a council? I see that you put together some information, but what do we need to do with that now? Are we supposed to be doing outreach? Are we supposed to be yelling at Congress? Do you want us connecting with our community? What is our call to action here?
The call to action here is to basically see how we can get involved with the Native Farm Bill Coalition to get either our initiatives. As we mentioned, there's a lot of opportunity for funding with tribes or through USDA, through the Farm Bill that BIA might not have access to. So it's important to be part of that that call to action essentially of getting funding and like one of my colleagues mentioned, food sovereignty. If you can't feed your people, are you a nation essentially? And so the Farm Bill is a perfect starting point to get access to building that starting point of being food sovereign. Does anybody else want to?
I guess another call to action would be going to the new Farm Bill Coalition website and just reading through what tribes are a part of it, connecting with people you know from those tribes, and starting to like meet the team at the new Farm Bill Coalition and preparing, getting involved in the roundtables they're having.
The call to action should be for the council to appoint a Secretary of Agriculture, the Development Department of Agriculture, so that you have a major point of contact and coordination for this money that's just slipping through your fingers. But thank you. Is there any way we could get that posted on the webpage? Because it's one of the best briefings I've seen for Indigenous Farm Bill engagement.
Yeah, pull some stuff together.
Oh, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if we're done with questions, but I have one. I was wondering if any or all of you would tell me about the provision that you would like to see in the upcoming Farm Bill. Is there one that stands out?
Oh, okay, you have one? 50 ground priorities.
Okay, so if you look at Title 4 under nutrition, it's the left side. There's one and it says authorized use of SNAP and FIDIPR. FIDIPR, it's like food distribution.
Program on Indian reservations.
Yeah, and so that's just saying, you know, if you're on a tribe and you're in quite a desolate area away on the reservation, how do you access food, especially if there's not a SNAP government agency on your res? So this would basically put the hands into our tribes, feeding our people. It's kind of like, hey, this is why you should give me money because we'll take care of our people. We'll get the job done. And we'll also make sure that what they're eating is culturally relevant and nutrient dense. So for me, I think I'd like to see that one done because the most important thing is feeding our people. You're right, if we can't feed our people, our is covered.
Also, another really cool provision, our tribe, like we mentioned, we have robust youth internships, so we had a question about how we're going to fund employment. This provision under research expands Native youth grant opportunities in agriculture, so that's a really cool provision in this last 2018. So being part of the conversation related to the Farm Bill will give us access to be like, hey, this is what our tribe needs, and this is how we can write the legislation to improve those opportunities. Another really cool provision in here, at least under forestry, is transferring lands back to tribal nations. Again, it's that co-stewardship. It's an example of land back, but being part of the conversation of how we regulate forestry. So those are some two cool provisions that I think this Farm Bill offers.
Any other questions? Okay, now we can clap, sorry.
Just for I want to double down on how incredible this group was. The Farm Bill is a 1,000-page long document, right? It's huge. There's so many provisions and so much work that's gone in. The Gaining Ground report that they're pulling from is 150 pages. These folks got passionate and curious and looked at how it related to their tribe. And they did all of this in less than a week while also learning about how to stand up a Department of Agriculture. So an incredible amount of work, an incredible amount of expertise now in this group. So
Awesome, Marshall. Yeah, I love that. Very impressive. Very important too. I agree. The Farm Bill is important. People should know more about it. We have a couple guests, several guests in the room, but I was hoping, Carl and Will, would you all mind just coming and introducing yourself? These guys are from Farm Credit. They are one of our sponsors for the summit this summer, along with Newman's Own Foundation and the Native American Agriculture Fund. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that they're in the room and let them say hi to you all. Thank you for representing today.
Hey everybody, my name's Will Carlisle. I'm a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. I live over Northeast Oklahoma, work at Oklahoma Ag Credit, which is part of the farm credit system. Excited to be here. To get started, so I'm excited to see what's ahead. Thank you, guys.
I'm Carl Hurley. I'm from the Russellville area. I work for Farm Credit Western Arkansas, which covers Western County, Arkansas. It's my first time at this event. So far so good. Last presentation, what I've seen so far. You guys did a great job. So I'm just here to learn and kind of see what you guys are doing. But I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you. Funding from Farm Credit this year went to help support paying for the travel for all of you to attend. Most of us in the room realize this, but maybe people listening don't, that you all are a group from all over the country, and we had people flying to Fayetteville from long distances. We're so glad you all made it safely and hope you have safe trips back, but it's really, really a privilege to be able to provide that free of cost, and what a tremendous opportunity to just have that travel experience with no cost to you. So thanks to Farm Credit again. Thank you all for being here as subject matter experts to help us challenge everyone who's presenting today. So with that, our next presentations will be coming from our Land Stewardship and Conservation track. This is Leanna Hill. She's from the Intertribal Agriculture Council, and she helps lead the Land Stewardship track.
Okay, for the Land Stewardship and Conservation, this group was led by Emily Glusco, who is the director of the Intertribal Agricultural Natural Resources Department. Myself and Nick Rajan. I'm Leanna Hale. I'm a member of the Phelan Paiute Shoshone tribe. We are the Toy-de-Kutta Tule Eaters, and so we provided the group with a scenario, and they had a choice to choose from 4 reaches, and they the 4 reaches, and the information was from the Klamath River on the Yurok Reservation, and they were to develop a riparian management plan. And so they took a look at those 4 scenarios, and they received training. They received training on water riparian restoration. They received training on soil health, training on grazing management, and other things. And so then they broke into 2 groups, and they chose to do reach number 1 and reach number 2. So if we go to the bottom, we'll see the reaches after the maps. So there's the map, and so what the Yurok tribe is asking that a riparian management plan be made, and this is a reach of about 257 miles that is on the Yurok Reservation. And they also have 4,000 acres with 1,000 head of cattle. So they were tasked, the 2 groups were tasked with developing this riparian management plan. So with that, I am just going to give it up to the groups to do their thing. Thank you. Oh, and just a quick note, they were also very informational. They had so much information. They shared their experiences and their knowledge. So it wasn't just us up there talking, but they had some good questions. They shared what they do on their reservation and the different things they have going on. So we have some very knowledgeable youth that are going to be presenting to you that have worked with their tribes on their tribal reservations and currently have jobs there. So either they're an intern or they're working with the cattle and the livestock. So we're just so pleased to have had them. They're very brilliant, and I'm excited to see our youth just really taking charge of things. So, be shy. Shall we we begin with this group. See, they take charge.
Yes.
Also for these groups, myself, Sunshine, and Leanna will be acting as tribal council.
Okay, nice. We have another pitch to the tribal council for this one, you said, Elaine? Yeah, cool. All right, this is good practice. You all need to be getting your mind right to be ready to go home and be prepared to address your leadership with these ideas that you're getting this week and anything that you need to share. We hope that you have gained confidence and some experience that will help you to continue to grow as tribal leaders in your communities, and that's why we're setting up your capstones like this. Is this the correct presentation? Yes. Okay, just making sure. All right, I'll let you go. Make sure and introduce yourselves.
All right, hello everyone. We are the Euro Tribal Environmental Team, and we are currently working on a project to restore the Klamath River.
Hi, my name is Brad Russell. I am the Euro Tribal Environmental Director.
Hello, my name is JCBA and I'm the Assistant to the Director.
Hello, my name is Katie. I come from where the water flows, also known as Owens Valley, and I am the youth intern.
So we chose Reach Forward in working for the Euro Tribal and the area that we're working on is about 257 miles along the river. It's 1,000 acres. This is an important tradition because it's an area that has impacts, and so it is starting to revegetate. There's concern that flows are coming in too fast into the area, so that's what we're expecting to wash and not being able to establish this area should be faster because it's
All right, I'd like to mention that the Tribal Food Sovereignty Program currently has a grant which is paying for 1,000 head of yearling steers. And with this grant, they also receive funding for a vertical fence. And since our project is alongside this cattle, we decided to help them with rotational grazing. These cattle will help reduce the foods that live in that area.
So we'll be talking about we will be taking community input on the plans that are coming in this culturally significant area. What we're going to do so like the native plants in the area, like the dogwood, and basically what we're doing is creating these structures in order to slow down the river, give the plants more of their environment to establish and create more oxygen for sunlight, and also finding those windows along the river to provide additional support. Why we're doing this also because it's culturally significant. It's very cost efficient.
All right, so for the timeline, the whole plan will take about 5 to 10 years to fully establish. that within the first year, we'd like to start March of 2025, and with this initial start date, we'd like to go with NRCS upon tribal approval to assess the land and talk about possible funding options. And from May through September, we will be starting to slow down the river by putting in woody structures. These wood structures will also help provide more oxygen for the salmon that are nearby. After we put the wood structures in, we will also be adding in additional native plants, and hopefully these plants will start to take off after they won't be so rushed away from the river. And as I said earlier, we will continue to help with the cattle, and during the winter months, we will be providing some supplemental feeding. And another thing to add is we'll be having youth interns for the first year take pictures weekly of the site that we are focused on to see the progress for our youths.
So we really want to emphasize community involvement, and with that, we will hold general council meetings to help figure out and get input from the tribal community. We will also be involved in youth internships and community involvement days at the site, as well as getting input from the elders and from like the like basket makers and everything for what plants we would want to put in. For the additional information, how we are measuring success. So if we are approved to work with NRCS, we will be using their annual report with additional measuring during the first year through photos weekly taken by these youth interns. We will also have monthly checking by our environmental team. And how we will get funding and seed supply is, again, if we are approved to work with NRCS, we will get funding through them, and if not, we will also apply for assistance through the VIA 638 contract with assistance through IAC as well. We will also reach out to NRCS to connect with local farmers to get seeds or plant starters and purchase starters and seeds from the California Native Plant Society. Thank you.
I got a question real fast. Will you all just go once more down the line and each introduce yourselves, like who you really are?
My name is Nadia, I'm hello, my name is Lee. I come from the water flows, also known as Home Valley, and nutritionally. I am currently a student at Indigenous. I'm studying sustainable agriculture and food systems while in here considers.
Tingin Siji Shari Pindi na Yokoe na Company Omu na Kato Omu Yata Educator should net AGC Gage Senator Republish like Ani Buses Jean Noda Dasche Kasapani Dashnella. Hello everybody, my name is JC Begay. I am from the Pueblo Santa Clara. I'm also Navajo and Northern View. And I also go to the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico, with a major in Indigenous local studies and a minor in history of arts.
Hi, I'm Karen Dobson. I'm from Fairbanks, Nebraska. I'm also right on at Nebraska from Indiana's disability. I'm also going to Fairbanks. 2 associate's degree in science and business degree in also studying.
Are there any initial questions from the audience before tribal council? Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit more about the virtual fence? I'm not familiar, one with virtual fence, and then 2, how cattle grazing will help, I think you said reduce fuels? I wasn't quite sure on the cattle part with the climate, the river restoration.
So, with the virtual fencing, as far as I'm aware, they have this GPS on their tailboats, right? They all have like their own collars, and with these collars they have a little station in the area, and it has these GPS codes of how far they can go to the property. And I'm assuming, as far as they could go on to like the lines, as like if they go past the line, they'll get shocked. And so they know to stay in their little grazing area. And by reducing fuels, the cattle will just, rotational grazing along the land. And as they graze, they will be taking out, some parts of the plants that, may cause fires in the future. So by taking out these plants and keeping them down, it's reducing the chance of a fire that could break out.
Okay, so question, what about community access? Like as a basket weaver, how am I going to access the space if it's being denied, if I'm being denied access by my tribe?
So the area where we're restoring, we're just going to basically make a barrier from that area and then the previous vegetation. That we can basically produce regular community.
I'd like to add a little more on that, just to clarify. So we will just have a small portion of the project that we're working on, not including or not open to community. Community can still go on, but they cannot harvest in smaller spots that are closer to the river. And we want those plants to fully rejuvenate before we start harvesting them.
After the 5-year project is over, do you have a plan or idea on how the tribe will be able to continue to take care of this riparian area and the river stream? Will you be doing other things within the community and the natural resources department to provide them information, training, or workshop? I'm just thinking about after the 5 years, we don't want it to fall back into disrepair again.
Yeah, so we are hoping with the use of the youth internships as well as the community days and everything that the knowledge that comes with it will keep going.
There was like a portion that the NRCS had and it's basically like it's an assessment. It's kind of a great to see how much better it is doing. And if that will help to see the difference from how we first started.
Was that the NRCS annual assessment plan?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, cool. So what does funding look like? Are you asking tribal council to fund the entire restoration project, or will you be going after grants, and what kind of grants?
So yes, we'll be looking at some grants. As you can see, we are interested in the NRCS funding, UA 638. And another one that we look to, I guess, add on to for like specifically youth interns, if we can't receive funding from the youth interns, you're interested in getting funding from the Native Agriculture Fund. But yeah, we are also interested in looking into any USDA funding if possible.
So today you're asking us, as the tribal council, to approve you to move forward with the application and all of the final approvals and the specific plan and with budget.
Yes.
Thank you.
Approved. Great job, guys.
Hey, Tribal Council.
Welcome.
So we are the River Reclamation Initiative, and this is our presentation on the restoration of the Pond River on the Huron Reservation.
Hey, hello, my name is Christopher Aguilar. I'm the water specialist for this project. I'm good at it. My name is Christopher Aguilar. I'm the water specialist for this project. I'm from San Felipe, Pueblo.
Hi, good morning. My name is Sarah Taylor. I'm White Mountain Apache Navajo, and I'm our land conservationist.
Hi, I'm Nicole Kacher. I am Sioux Tribe Triplet, and I'm a wildlife specialist.
G'day, she'e Judith Libianishit, Tachi Inishlan, and Andana Bashishtin, Sabahan the Shiche, Johanna and the Additionale, Akot Ego the Addition. Hello everyone, my name is Javen. I use he, him pronouns. I am the Nan from the Bubbles of Acma and Hemus, and I am the project director.
Okay, so we got the table of contents. We're gonna first do the introduction.
Mic closer to your mouth. There you go.
We're gonna start off with the introduction along with the reach selection and prioritization, the steps we're gonna take, and of course last our management plan.
Okay, so a little bit more into our project. As you know, we were given 4 different reaches. Reach is just basically a segment of the river. And so with each reach, were specified problems that needed to be addressed for the conservation of the area. And so I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see them listed, and I'm going to go through our process and how we came to select our final reach. So in order to do this, we used a tool called Decision Matrix. This is a tool that we use commonly in engineering to select our best design to meet our necessary needs. And so it's kind of a lot to look at now, and so I'm going to break it up into small little segments. So we're starting off with deciding factors. These are all little factors that contribute to the steps necessary for our project and for our project. So we have things like plant restoration, medicine preservation, erosion prevention, ease of solving, people factor, and budget friendliness. And how we rank the importance of each of these factors is through the weight. So it's weighted 1 through 9, 9 being the highest weight, 1 being the lowest. And so you can see our highest being plant restoration and our lowest being budget friendliness. And you'll see why we have that in a sec. But now we're moving on to scoring relevance within each reach. So how that factor ranks within the reach and the necessity or relevance towards that specific segment. And so you'll see our final calculations. I added a little bit like the weight factor is multiplied by the relevance, comes out to that total, and it's all summed up at the bottom. And so for each individual reach, we had the total, and the one with the highest sum was the one we ultimately selected.
So here's the different phases that we have. First, we're going to start off talking about cattle stewardship, and we're going to go to bank protection, critical additions, and then beaver introduction. So I'm going to talk about cattle stewardship. So our issue is that there's too much cattle and there's no supervision for them. We are not a tribe that usually has cattle. They're brand new to us, where there's no fences and they're harming the current land, meaning they are just like digging it up, eating too much, there's just too much going on. So our solution is we're gonna give 500 of our cattle to their neighboring tribe and get 500 of their sheep. The cattle don't bring in any monetary
profit for us. There's really no big reason to keep them, unfortunately. So we're just gonna do a little switch. We love sheep. They're really cute. They're gonna work better for us. They aren't as harmful to the lands. And as we, plant new vegetation and such, they will help with like eating the little weeds and not being so rough on the land. We also want to do temporary electric fencing and barriers for the cattle that we do keep. The electric fencing will be paid for through a grant through the Department of Agriculture for California. And so it's also the barriers. We are also going to do rotational grazing. That will be more intentional for us, so we know exactly where we're going to put the cattle, where they will be, and we can put them in areas that we know that we aren't currently trying to grow anything or anything like that. We're also going to develop a plan to shift into a low stress stockmanship, which means it'll be much more like taking a step back and away from Western colonial ideals of farming and what that should look like, more autonomy for these animals. We want to involve youth and, of course, all of our tribal members with all of these ideas and plans. We want to reach out to AHEC, which is the American Indian Higher Education Consortium, FFA, which is Future Farmers of America, and IFAI, Indigenous. Thank you. We're going to reach out to them and see what they have done in different areas and how we can utilize those plans into our tribe and our planning. That's really important as we want everybody involved. And through our funding, we actually have more than enough money to make sure that everybody gets stipends, everybody's well fed, and everything just works out. And we really want to highlight collaborative planning in this area, working with other tribes, working with these different organizations. So it's not just all of us doing this work, it's more of like a community effort.
Then moving towards protecting our riparian banks. One of the problems that were outlined in the REACH was that there was a collapsing bank, there was water erosion along with channeling, which was adding an added risk towards buildings and structures that are within a 300 feet radius of the stream. And so our plan to combat this problem is by implementing boulders along the bank side to protect it from the erosion. And this is just a temporary solution to allow the vegetation to reestablish themselves in the soil, which will act as a more natural barrier to prevent erosion in the future. Along with this, the rocks will act as sort of as a deterrent from cattle to stop them from, eating the new vegetation to fully allow them to establish themselves. And the solution comes with added benefits of providing extra shade, increasing dissolved oxygen levels, and regulating the temperature of the river.
Okay, so who here likes to fish? Okay, that's quite a lot of y'all. So what the problem I'm having is that there's a lot of spawns and nesting grounds for the fish. And there's a lot of heavy metals, a lot of sediments happening in the water. And it's preventing a higher rate of the fish to spawn. And my solution to that is planting native vegetation on the bottom of the floor of the bed of the river and the side of the banks. And I'm gonna be introducing ripples to the water. It basically putting boulders in the middle of the river to slow down the current. So there won't be more erosion happening to the river and to give a new habitat to the fish as well. And it'll increase the oxygen levels to the fish. So I'm really hoping you'll see more salmon because the river we're working on has salmon. So the population of it will probably increase. You'll see an increase of salmon in your tribe. Yeah, it's a little different.
My project is reintroducing beaver to the river. I believe this will help with the water being too fast, which causes extreme erosion, and it will help protect the new vegetation. that is having a hard time getting established on the banks of the river. Beaver and their dams will help slow water and reduce the erosion that's causing such an issue with very minimal effort on our part. This reduced erosion will help protect the housing that is currently at risk, and it will prevent new vegetation from dying and eroding away, and it will affect it. I believe that reintroducing beaver will also form connections with local wildlife rehabbers, which may prove very useful in other projects. And in case the beaver overpopulate themselves, we will use traditional trapping methods to manage the beaver population.
So for the timeline of our project, we're thinking about 5 years. In the first year, we want to do mainly assessments and finding contractors. To do that, we'll reach out to IAC and IPI again and the NRCS, to make sure we cover all of our bases and get all the help that we need. And the second year is when we really want to start getting work done, more hands-on actually in the area doing everything. Third year, we want to finish project reconstruction and still keeping an eye on how everything's going and see if we need to change anything or make any little edits to our plans. In the fourth year, we're going to continue monitoring and just looking in, checking in. Fifth year will be final touches, but as we all know, that's not when the project ends. This is like a lifelong thing, and we'll continually be analyzing and looking back into how the area is doing. The necessary budget is $500,000. Our actual budget is $700,000. We have money from the California Department of Food and Ag, Native American Ag Fund, Bureau of Reclamation, Water Smart. Our tribal funding will be at zero. This will be fully funded through other resources, through other grants. And like I said, we're really working on collaborative planning, the NCIS, CIA, ISC, and NRCS. Is there any questions?
What happened to the beaver population?
Historically, when the Russians were colonizing this area, they trapped a vast majority of the beaver population, which has left very few beaver in this area, and we're hoping to restore them to the area. Anyone else? Yes?
I'm someone, I love burgers. Anyway, kind of like I'm a member of the community, and I hear that we're getting rid of all these cows for sheep. I hear that and I'm upset. How are you going to respond to that? It's like, hey, this is why we're doing this. This is why we're getting rid of a bigger food source than sheep. How would you go about answering that?
I completely understand that. I love burgers also. But with these cattle, we aren't really able to do much with them. They are yearling steers, so they don't really reproduce. And because it's such a wet and cold area, they don't like it. They don't eat very much, so they don't get very big, which is the sheep will do much better in this climate. They don't really care if it's raining or not, and we are planning on getting a lot of rain in this area. So that's a big part of the reason why. And after talking to the different cattle owners, they are not a huge fan of them. Any other questions?
So I was wondering with the reach selection, that was really cool. I've never seen anything like that before, so it was great to see. Thank you for explaining it. I'm wondering though, how was the weight determined? Was it your department deciding what's important? Did you get input from the community? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so we sent out a survey towards the community to see what the community really wanted prioritizing the restoration. So that's how we mainly got the big factors.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So if the cattle that we currently have along the river and along our reservation are are not cow-calf operation, but they're stockers. And the idea of trading those out with a neighboring tribe for sheep. Have you thought about possibly utilizing and maybe changing the operation and the cattle for the plan for the cattle to be like maybe like was mentioned, a food source, maybe bringing in a mobile slaughter when they get big enough and fat enough, and being able to have, because I know NRCS does have a mobile slaughter in a lot of areas, and maybe distributing the food out to the tribe rather than just giving up half of the cattle for sheep. I don't know, it just seemed like a large number.
That is an interesting idea, but like I had mentioned, the issue is that they're not getting that large. So if we were to do that, we wouldn't get much meat out of it anyways, and I'm not sure if all of our community members, which is almost around 5,000, would be able to get any. And we don't want to step on anybody's toes, make anybody angry, which was part of the reason why we just settled on, going half and half for them, unfortunately.
I just want to say that this route selection and prioritization, that's brilliant. Just like looking at it visually, stunning. I mean, you guys really went above and beyond with that.
It's nice. My question is, how long do you think the changes that you're implementing, how long do you think it will be? Are they going to have an immediate effect, or do you think it will take years for them to start to improve stabilize the banks and stuff?
Yeah, a lot of it takes time. And like I said, especially with like the boulders along the bank, that's just a temporary solution to actually allow the vegetation to take over and for the natural processes to take over. That's kind of been the priority of our conservation efforts, is to use low-tech technology that wouldn't implement high engineering, high budget, high maintenance costs, and really taking to what's natural and what will naturally, yeah.
It takes longer, but it's less cost.
Exactly.
I would like to make a motion to approve the river reclamation initiative.
I would like to second that.
Motion
Let's reduce the background noise. We're about ready to start our agricultural business and finance tracks capstone presentation. They're doing a Shark Tank like simulation where they're going to pitch their idea to a group of sharks here in the front. So you all get ready. This is going to be fun. Well, just gonna do an intro running on over right now. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna start the theme music. It's really oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Sunshine was helping lead their ag business and finance track, and she's gonna share a little bit about what the assignment is beyond just that it is a simulation of Shark Tank. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Sunshine. Twórek Indigenous hello everyone, my name is Sunshine. I serve as the IAC program specialist. You probably see me walking around here these last few days. But I helped with the ag business track. And I want to give a quick shout out to the track leads, Patrick Gonzalez, who serves as the IAC Regenerative Economies Director, and Julian Ledford, who serves as the risk mitigation specialist. They worked really hard these past few weeks to create the agenda and line up speakers, so shout out to them. They really created this capstone, and the youth, they worked really hard these past few days, and we're excited to show you guys their Shark Tank pitches. So how many of you guys have seen Shark Tank? Quite a few. So this is very similar, but as we know, agribusiness and finance is becoming very important within the tribal food sovereignty movement, and as tribal communities strive for self-determination for their food systems, there's a demand for native ag entrepreneurs to produce and supply food and other innovative products to their tribal communities. So the agribusiness and finance track aims to empower youth to take on these challenges by preparing a Shark Tank style business plan. So we'll give them the floor now, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Seems like it's just me. I don't know where I don't like this guy. You know what I'm doing? I'm like, saw how this little spray thing, pesticide, just freaking killed that roach like nothing. That's would you want to eat that?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to either. So what we did with our little business is we are creating a concept around the idea of using pheromones to just naturally expel this little nasty critter. So imagine I was just standing there and he's just walking up. I'm just thinking, he's gonna be, he completely avoids me. And he's like, and so our company's name is Meshekwa. Meshekwa is a Homo word for basically scent, smell. And our concept of pheromone right there. Sorry. My name is Darren Kaikoni, back from the Grandy.
어머니, 야채, 제 공기 유시, 그래서 그 것이 진토하는 것이 되는 나도 인생의 목표도 그래서
I got a bachelor's in business, agriculture.
And I have a master's in agricultural crop science from the University of Arkansas. Alright, so right here, this is our product. It's the initial design. Nothing too special about it. It's in its early stages. But what it does is at the top, at the top, it has the machine, the pump, and the battery. It contains a multitude of pheromones for specific types of pests. And it's in its testing phase right now, and we have 30 minutes to test both for the food science lab here at the University of Arkansas and the quality foundation.
So far, the product is working. And mainly we're using on raspberries because they have a Japanese beetle problem out here. This is a little financial report. Manufacturing right now is extremely expensive. We're doing this out of just basically our garages. So, all these pieces and parts, we don't have like stamps or molds or anything like that. We gotta really hand work it. So right now we're around $100 to manufacture the device itself, and then $20 for basically the pheromone chemical. It's kind of like how you can extract pheromones to use on clones and stuff. Kind of same concept right there. And yeah, we were selling it for $115, 50%, little profit. And we're selling the chemicals They're all natural, good-free chemicals, not gonna kill the chemicals for 25, it's for 22% profit. Yeah, and this started off as just a little project for a business class that we had together. And our professor really liked it. So he was like, you should continue to pursue that. And we're like, oh yeah, let's try it out. That's why we went to the Qualified Nation, we went to the Arkansas Food Lab. They gave us a little bit of acreage, try out our products, like I said, so far it's working. And you know how we got the mechanical aspect right now? This could be just like the most bare bones version of what we could do. We have a vision to basically we're trying to acquire funding for a bioengineering lab so that we can turn plants into basically like we could bioengineer a plant to just simply produce the pheromone itself. And it could be just an altered companion plant, or just boost that strength of the smells and whatever, like 10-fold, 30-fold, however much. So that way you can go from this to just a little seed. And that'd be way better for the environment. No plastic waste, no chemicals. It's just naturally producing its own pheromones, which they already do. We're just gonna boost it up. That's why we need money. That's why we're at Shark Tank, you know? And these are conceptuals for our bioengineering lab. We would like to use it also as an agritourism hub. That's why you see the little vertical farm, because those are really cool to look at, right? You know, I don't want to walk through the facility and check out vertical farm. So to do that, you could bring in, youth, your tribal youth, any youth, anybody that really just wants to come in to our facilities, and that's another way we can become a profitable business.
Thank you, Darian. Do you want to highlight your investment ask?
We're asking for $2.5 million. That should cover. We gotta pay some scientists. We gotta build at least a little tiny lab, and we gotta, research chemicals, research equipment, all that stuff pretty cheap.
Okay, thank you, Darian. So we have our three sharks up here up front. We have Mallory, Kelly, and Eleni, who will be asking a few questions to our two here. And again, we're not, it's not real Shark Tank. We're going to crush their dreams or anything like that. So. But they will be asking a few questions.
So I have two questions for you. The first one is, what is the area of effect of your current disbursement unit? So is it 1 per acre? Is it built for indoor-outdoor use, specific to one or the other? The second question is, you mentioned a evolution from these individual disbursement units to seeds that do the same function. So what is the timeline on transition from your current disbursement unit to the ultimate seed you want to be able to produce and sell?
For the first question, it's the radius of the spray is roughly 1 acre. So we're trying to expand that to basically 1 acre and a quarter. That's the answer to your first question. And your second question is, within I think next 5 to 10 years, we hope to be able to produce the seeds. Because it's going to cost a lot of money, be a lot of time in the lab to research and ultimately combine these pieces of DNA together. So within that time frame, we hope to build the business and also, make it affordable for everyone. That's our goal. Our main goal is affordability. So within the next 5 to 10 years, hopefully to make it to a seed.
Thank you.
Okay, so you said that you are making the current disbursement mechanisms out of your garage, and it's just you two right now. So kind of a twofold question. How long is it taking you to make those devices, and what are your plans for the future to ramp up production of those if your business venture were to take off?
Right now, it takes like just a couple days. If even that, just if we have pieces, we can get it done in like a day or two. We're working really hard, but that's gonna take like all day again. Plus, we gotta make chemicals. We gotta get that outside. We can't have no gas in our little garage. Chemicals are bad, but our product is clean once it's filtered and processed. Your second question.
Just if this business venture were to take off and you would need to produce those quicker, what is your business plan?
China. Don't go to China. We're gonna buy a warehouse. We're gonna get workers, we're gonna have a freaking operations manager. That's how all the companies do it. Malls, warehouse, operation toward the facilities.
I like it.
Okay, so how is this issue or how is this creation, your venture, addressing problems in Indian country?
Yes. And cancer rates, as we know, pesticides can cause cancer, prostate cancer in males, ovarian cancer in females. There's only 4,000, 20,000 cases per year from pesticides. So we just want our people to be safe and for our animals and our water sources, because as we know, pesticides do, if used improperly, can contaminate water sources. So it's all about safety. That's one reason why we're doing this, is for the safety of our people, because we want our people to stay healthy.
Are you working with any tribal partners or communities?
The Quality Nation and University of Arkansas.
One more question about scaling up. So you said that the goal is to get the plant to produce the pheromones itself. What then are you going to do to create an incoming revenue for, say, yourself and maybe one of these sharks, if we choose to partner with you, if you make yourself obsolete by creating the plant to disperse that pheromone?
People just GMO it up, and they will not be able to produce seeds, and they'll just have a biological crop.
Sharks should be how about investment?
We wanted to handle that part. That was not our script. I'm gonna watch the show. We're a little useless.
Would you invest in this?
Don't need to see the science. Yeah, I would need to see the science too.
Okay.
You got it. It's like actually.
Okay, well, I think I'll go ahead and, how much are you asking for again?
2.5.
2.5. I think I can do about 2. I'd invest 2.
How much stake you want?
What was that?
I said, how much stake you want in the company?
I'd like to just see how this goes. All right, you gonna take my offer?
Totally, 2.5.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
If anyone else has any questions before they exit off, any of you have any questions or visitors? Okay, we have one again.
How do I know that these pheromones that you guys are putting off to repel the pests will also repel, the good pollinators and other things in my garden?
So that's different species.
I know that, but that could impact the whole
Like pigs that run food, dogs that eat food, cats, stay away from that.
I like to go back to what you just said, dogs eat food.
I've seen it.
I look for workers right now. I think you got your first one over here.
What you gonna bring to the table?
Huh?
What you gonna bring to the table?
I'll watch the plants. I'll be your scientist.
Alright.
Thank you very much.
Alright. Thank you so much, Darian and Owen. Next, we have Emily and Alexa.
Alegat első rośliny, amerykańskie pojęcie, rośliny, ani rośliny, rodziny deszczy, homofony deszczy. Hello everyone, my name is Alegat Solivoy. I am from the Four Corners in New Mexico.
Hi, my name is Alexa and I'm from Phoenix.
And we are a farm. We are a pig farm with 10 acres based on India.
started with the horizon, which is the track.
You could have seen dudes.
How many of you guys shop, sorry. How many of you guys shop, I guess, buy from local farmers in your community?
So thank you for making that conscious effort to buy locally, and with that, we'll create a more sustainable and equitable food system that benefits everyone, and importantly, keeping the money within the money spent on food to getting good.
So today we're here to ask our fellow sharks to help us, to provide us funding or asking for $500,000 to be able to buy 2 trailers. One will be where we'll have our office and a storefront along with the classroom. And then the second trailer will be where we'll turn it into a commercial kitchen, which we'll talk kind of more into, but we're wanting to be able to provide workshops for our community for traditional foods. And then we're also wanting to build, get supplies for a farmer's market on our land to be able to have other community members. So that would be chairs, tables, canopies, signs, displays, things like that. And also to mention, we have a couple of trained employees on our land. We have tours at a youth farm, and we're wanting to build a more bigger and, I guess, a more better fencing system for the homes. So that's what our ask is.
Our mission is we're dedicated to producing high quality, affordable foods while promoting sustainability, improving health, and health community, all while maintaining our heritage.
And then our background beyond that is I grew up farming. It's been in my generation of my family line. So I've been incorporating that within our business. So we mostly specialize within Indian corn. So we're able to use that for multiple purposes. So we have 2 Adobe pits where we steam our corn, and then we process it, we dry it, and then shelling it, and then packaging it, and then selling it. Also with blue corn, we grind it, and then we give it to blue corn mush as an option to buy. But that's kind of my background. I quote-unquote graduated from Indigenous school with a business, with agriculture, business, and economics.
For me, I was on a top farmer. My interest agriculture started in high school, within the gardening club, and graduated with a agriculture finance degree with a minor in nutrition and health at UCLA. And with that, I'm passionate about educating our community about opportunities within agriculture and nutrition and how we can intertwine our traditional ways within our careers. I also want to talk about our business success. We are the first youth farm on the Wellington Nation, and with that, we've been an inspiration for the youth farm community, leading agriculture and business conferences about our youth farm.
So within our youth farm, like I was telling you, we are, as she was telling you, that we're pretty successful, and we're wanting to provide our community that, I guess, outreach of coming and being able to come to our farm, learn more about us, and shop locally, especially at the farmers market. just bringing community members that have clients or that also want to sell their produce can also come. But these are the things that we sell on UPay, and the products that we sell are provided called points with a blue wall, yellow, and mixture. Also squash and cucumbers, etc. So we're going to talk about finance. I usually average with AGK that before ways that we create recurring revenue from our IDP business was mostly memberships, retainer models such as cooking demos, providing our services, payment plan options. For example, we could make a one-time sell, and with that, will be recurring revenue coming for several months for payment plans of our customer. Fourthly, stacking enterprise is also another recurring revenue, which is creating more than one revenue stream from the same land, such as intercropping, integrating, and livestock. And to add on to that, not only extra stream of revenue, but it mostly also reduces and eliminates expenses for us using stacking. And within 1 year, we started a gross income of $30,000 with that. Without explains on there, we got $20,000 from the UPay farm, which is $1,000 per week over 20 weeks. And then for our farmers market, we got $7,000 with 350 per weekend over 20 weeks. And over the next 2 years, in year 2, we plan to extend our growing season to 35 weeks and are setting to those income goals of $15,500. On our year 4, we want to do 2 cooking demos per week for 35 weeks and to have double our UPay farm and farmers market sale, increasing both of those in 50 weeks for a gross income goal of $120,000. So not only will we value all of this, but you will also, depending on if you join us in our degree or in our business model, we're wanting to increase our doors, so we're wanting to do an outreach program with extension and being able to provide schools to come and visit our UPay farm, and then with the workshop for traditional foods, we're wanting to implement being able to relearn or reteach our cultural foods, and that we have the resources here in our community, and we can buy locally, and then we can also learn how to make the traditional foods. And then finally, we're wanting to work with community members. I think some of you guys are thinking, what's the difference between a farmer's market that we'll have on our farm and a flea market or other farmer's market around? And I think that it's like a value part where we're wanting to provide resources within that. And a lot of our community members, they have really good ideas, but we're going to create a website or create different things. It's going to cost them twice as much as when they can just come to ours because we're already established. And then so our future growth is to be able to support local farming economy, being able to keep the money on the reservation so it's not exporting out when you go to a big franchise like Walmart or Sam's Club that's 2 hours away cross-pollination and just being able to keep that money within our people.
We're also wanting to increase community access to affordable and nutritious food to resolve the food insecurity issue among Indigenous families.
Questions, concerns?
Yes. So how long is the growing season in your area? Like you said that you want to do the U-Pick farm and expand the amount of weeks that you do it, but how long of a growing period do you guys typically see in that area?
So early planting usually starts the end of May to the beginning of June, and then they harvest out for, you start to harvest depending on when you first planted, so we can always start early, and then like let's say we'll start in June, and then there's like that 3 months they grow and we can also go in the middle of June or the middle or the end of June to be able to make a multi-crop season because it's like a longer period because it does cold in our region. And a lot of these produce that we specialize in, it does very well on the land, and we kind of figured out a system on being able to plan it before we actually plant it. So that's your second question.
I don't think there was a second question.
I've got two for you. First, I would love to hear you talk a little bit more about where you're pulling your customers from. Where is your market base that you're pulling from? And the second question I have is, as a U-Pick operation, and you mentioned that some of our investment, if we choose to do so, will go towards a storefront. So if you're asking folks to come in as tourists who maybe don't have a ton of training or background in how to work on a farm or how to deal with this, with the importance of food safety, especially as you're going to be selling food from this operation through your storefront. So first question, talk to me about where you're pulling your customers. Second question, talk to me about how you're balancing food safety needs with also the openness that you have prioritized for your farm and community. Which one? The first one. Where's your customer base? Are you pulling in tourists? Is it local community members? Are you near a highway or a tourist stop that you're pulling from?
We're pulling from the community and tourism just like Canada, which is where a lot of tourism comes and where also now the nation of gets a lot of attention for tourism.
Your second question on the food safety and everything, I think that we've established going off of our quote-unquote third year. So we have workers that are able to not surround, but be able to keep an eye out on questions and concerns that people have on like how to pick different things. Like you said, it's different produce and everything's different on how you pick, and just having like I don't want to say surveillance, but like I was just watching constantly, and then you asked me about the store effect?
Yeah, so is like the same plot of land that folks are coming into the U-Pick operations from, the same plot of land you're pulling produce that will be sold to the storefront?
So the produce will you'll pick it, but like with this program, how I was talking about like steamed corn and blue corn mush and tailgating and different products you can make out of the produce, it will be sold in this program.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so are those products, are they packaged with like value added to them? Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be the revenue, or like money coming into revenue.
Are your products organic, or are there any labels that you're going to be investing in?
Okay.
And what about the employees? You mentioned having employees on the grounds. How many do you project to have in like the first, say 5 years?
So far, we have our employees are volunteers and internships. The internships are not paid internships. So it's us two and a family and volunteers.
Awesome, thank you. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Okay.
What do you all foresee will be the impact on the community if you're able to expand your business? How do you think it will have positive impacts?
Oh, yes, I really think that will have a big positive impact, especially if we collaborate with the extension, because there's also forage and empathy that's really big on collaboration. And I think now a lot of the extension from NMSU and Arizona State University is very hands-on with collaboration and being able to host different things or provide a workshop for the students that are coming to the region. I think that's really interesting because a lot of people growing up, it's like that you grow up on the reservation and then everybody wants you to get an education. And it's hard because a lot of us, we're doing so good and we don't return home, or we return home and feel guilty because what we think we're making a big impact isn't so much of an impact on our food insecurity, right? Like right now we have the highest food insecurity on the reservation because food isn't like access. A lot of it's just, I guess you could say like junk food and like different things like that. And we want to implement being able to provide a workshop where it's not just quote unquote bad traditional foods that are healthy for you, but implementing healthy habits. That was great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good day, sharks. I'd like to start us off with a question. So we have two products here, right? Take a nice gander at it, nice look, whatever your word is. And tell me what the difference between these two products. Looks like one's coffee and one's olive oil. That is a good observation. However, that's not what I'm looking for. Any other guess?
One has caffeine and one doesn't.
Also a good observation. Now, do you have a?
Looks like they are produced by different companies.
That is true, but also not. You see, I got that wrong. But see, the difference between these two products here is this one was made in California, right? But the olives that they used to make this were harvested in their backyard. So, compared to this one, they had to import their coffee. So, that kind of brings up an issue with sustainability, your local stuff, things like that. But we kind of have a solution for that. And with that, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Kateri Matonis. I am from the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe Reservation.
And I am Lydia Cummings. I'm from the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina. And we are That Native Grows. So we're going to talk a little bit about the product that we came up with today. It's called the Green Zone. But first we want to tell you guys where we came from and how we got started. See, we grew up in a coffeeless household. Our elders drank so much coffee that our parents just hated it so much that we weren't allowed to drink it growing up. So one night as we were studying our final exams, by the way, we were roommates. Oh my God, they were roommates. One day while we were studying for exams, we got tired of Red Bull. We got tired of Monsters. We got tired of doing anything and everything to keep ourselves up. And we decided we just had to try it. We just had to try coffee for the first time, and that's when we started to love it. That's when we became addicted. We love coffee. We should not. But coffee's expensive. Starbucks drink is like $7, y'all. That's crazy. So we decided to grow it in our own backyard, except we live in Washington State. Oh.
Not the best place to say.
So that's when we invented the Green Zone.
So, this is the green zone. Beautiful structure. Alright, so beautiful looks. So, this is, it looks like an ordinary greenhouse, right? However, you see, this is a modular unit. It has all sorts of add-ons. It has absolute sustainability. It's got solar panels, water collecting, all that beautiful shazazz. However, the main thing about this structure is its climate control. That's the good stuff.
It can recreate any environment in the world. I'm talking Guatemala, I'm talking about Africa, I'm talking about Asia, you name it, we can grow it there.
Exactly.
So all this is connected to an app. That way you can grow this from the comfort of your own home. This app can be 1,000 miles away and you can still work on it from wherever, do whatever. So this app, it monitors the sensor levels, the battery levels of the solar power and the generator, your annual growth report of whatever you're growing that year, statistics and averages that you have going on, your green zone notes and goals, and we have 24/7 customer service. I am Chick-fil-A certified, y'all. We got y'all. It is my pleasure to serve you. So an overview. So we already talked about the 10 sensor devices that perfectly replicates any environment, anywhere you can access from the comfort of your own home, right? But what about saving money and cutting costs? It completely cuts out the supply chain. Ooh, that took me a minute. It completely cuts out the middleman. There's no purchasing goods, there's no importing, there's no trying to find a reliable source. Ooh, you are the reliable source. It also keeps money circulating within your tribe and in your reservation. It creates jobs. And not only that, it provides food security and it's one step closer to tribal and indigenous food sovereignty. Okay. So our profits for your gain. So it costs us about $16,500 to do this, right? Kind of pricey, but we're going to sell it to other people and other tribes for $32,000, which is a 48% net profit margin. So, So I have a product for you guys today. I have my very own product. This is a Central American fruit of your choice. Touch it, feel it, you feel it? Smell it? It smells good, doesn't it? Smells like it could be from Central America. In reality, this was grown in our own backyard yesterday. So, I know you're wondering, where have we tested this out before? How do we know this works? Besides, our own use, right? So this this is Brad Eagle Feather from the Broken Tribe. I'm sorry, y'all. This is Brad Eagle Feather from the Broken Rock Reservation in Montana? Yes, in Montana. He grows his own coffee from his backyard. It's normally found in Puerto Rico. This brand is normally found in Puerto Rico. As you can see here, this is Brad's coffee company. Don't talk about Brad Green Thumb, okay, guys? He's got his issues. But he wasn't able to make it here today due to the Microsoft shutdown. Yeah. So we had to take this picture this morning of him, so he looks a little, that's why he's a little tired. Anyways, any questions, concerns, comments?
Oh, before that, we have a business card.
Oh yeah, we do have a business card we would like to present to you guys. Here you guys go. Our number is 867-5309.
Give us a call. Sorry. If you have any other further questions, but do you have any questions now that you'd like to ask us? Give us
How much? What's the investment ask?
So our investment ask is $2 million, which can be a little pricey, but that's going to start up our business. That's going to pay for our buildings, and it's going to give us about 10 structures to start off with. But we are giving y'all a 20% profit rate. Any other questions?
Yes. Thank you so much for your presentation. It's very engaging. We often, and I'm going to paint with a pan and brush. I know I shouldn't. There are less ways to do this, but we often talk about our connection to our land and our culture and our foods through a geographic or regional type relational status. So by growing, the opportunity to grow foods that are typically thousands and thousands of miles away in your own backyard, it opens up a whole new market and opportunity. How are we going to ensure that those foods have context around them and have history associated with them?
Oh, you look at me. Oh, okay.
So, say that again. How can we ensure that by enabling the growing of foods outside of their traditional regions, we do not lose the context and history associated with those food products?
Okay. So you see with our app has a certain technology where everything that you can potentially grow is listed there. So, you know, if you would like to just click that little thing, you know, get the information. It would also, you know, we have some researchers who do all these research that go into communities in those areas that we import these seeds from, you know, and things like that. And yeah, we just, whatever they tell us, we get there.
Okay, I have one more question. You gave us the stats around what it costs you to create the units and what you're going to sell it for. You also mentioned incredible customer service. Have you accounted for staff time for providing that ongoing customer service in your profit margin?
So that's why we asked for $2 million. We're looking at about, it's going to be a small unit to start off with. That's why we only asked for $2 million compared to the, let's say, $5 or $6 million we could be asking for. But with $2 million, I mean, there's only two of us. I think we can do a small warehouse, right, for like $500,000, right? From there, we're looking at about $500,000 in salaries, and then the other $1 million will go directly towards the greenhouse budget.
You know, I also have like a million like little cousins that can also just help.
And so you mentioned that you're starting off with a smaller greenhouse space. So what are the dimensions of the product that you would be selling?
It was 28.
It was a 28 by 21 by 12, like 12 inch high. Yeah.
And how long do you plan to keep it? How long do you plan to keep it at that space? Like, what's your end goal in terms of like scaling up? How are you going to continue that revenue stream?
So in the scaling up sense, so as of right now, we do have the green zone, but we have been coming up with the green zone half, which doesn't sound, that sounds like a weird, we're still coming up with the name, guys, I promise. But what it's going to be is it's going to be a smaller version of the green zone, and then we're also going to come up with a larger version. It's going to be about 3 times the size. It just completely depends on what you guys need and how we are able to accommodate for that. It's that Chick-fil-A customer service will run down over your milkshake.
I mean, if you do have any questions about the smaller structure, we can also go into detail.
Well, due to the engagingness and personality of your presentation, your background, Brad, having somebody who was up there who's been a part of your experiments, I think I'd like to invest. Thank you.
So we would love to have you.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes.
Can I invest too?
Yes. Anybody can invest. If you want to invest for $2 million, you got more than $2 million. We got you. We will find a way to spend your money. Don't worry.
Do a sample.
You can have some. Brad, people get Alright. Any more questions? Okay. Alright, thank you so much for sharing
as much as you can, but I am going to just turn it over now to Tish and Casey, who helped design and lead our first ever animal science track at our youth summit. We created this track in response to tribes telling us that they're working on several tribes are investing currently in expanding or creating new meat processing operations or expanding their livestock herds and stuff like that. So we created this in response to the demand and the increase that we see through our work at IFAI and they're telling us that they want young people coming up with skills that are related to animal and meat science. And so in response to that, we created this this track, and I'll let Tish and Casey introduce themselves and talk about the Capstone.
Hi, I'm Tish Mindeman. I am the communications manager for IFAI.
Hi everyone, my name is Casey Captain. I am a citizen of the Eastern Shawnee Tribe of Oklahoma, and I'm the Tribal Outreach and Policy Specialist for IFAI.
So we both have animal science degrees. Mine's from Oklahoma State, hers from UARC. And so we worked really collaboratively together to design this track. Each year we're going to have a different species that we focus on. So this year was cattle. We had a small but mighty group, and they got to go on a field trip out to the animal science arena out by the agri park, and they were able to see cannulated cattle, which are the cows with the holes in the side. And then they were able to watch them preg check a cow and work with some sheep and age those and that kind of stuff. So it was very hands-on. We tried to make it a very hands-on and kinetic course. So they had to come up with a farm plan for their farm. So their scenario was set in Nebraska, which none of them is from, so that was a fun little challenge for them. Their farm is owned by a father-son team, and they'll tell you more about their farm plan when they come up here. So you guys can come on up.
I'm a current student at Indian College, and I'm majoring in health occupational, and today we'll be going over animal science capstone.
Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Hamiatwa. I'm from the Colorado River Indian Tribes. I'm studying at Colorado State University and earning a degree in agriculture biology.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jag är Karin Kjellin, on the Russian team, and on the Russian nationalist of the table and good morning, everyone. I'm coming from the operation, and
Anybody want to make this there? Anybody before? Oh, you sent an album. Nana said, oh, Pastor, in the government of Jamaica. Hello, my name is Linda Dominguez. I'm from the Pacific Guadalupe area in Arizona. I'm Pastor. I'm working on my environmental research business degree at Arizona State University, and I work at the Library of American Community Data Center.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jake Black. I live in Salina, Oklahoma. I am a Cherokee Nation citizen, and I currently go to college at Rogers State University in Flintwall, Oklahoma. And if you don't know how we look, this morning too. What is animal science? Animal science is the scientific and biologic study of farm animals, intertwined with animal husbandry, working with and the production and management of farm animals.
alright, so as Tish mentioned before, Little Rocky King Cow Farm, that is our official name, very big. We are a cow-calf farming operation, which means we produce breeding and beef cows and bulls. Right now we have an estimated 210 cattle, so that means 100 cow-calf pairs. And we are located on tribal lands in northern Nebraska on a 200-acre farm. We are family owned by a father and son. So the father's name is Steve, and the son's name is Timothy. Very important for later. And our cattle of choice is Black Angus and Herefords, and then we also cross them to get Black Herefords. And we chose this because Angus typically are born with low birth weights and they grow pretty fast. And then Herefords also usually have a contact movement, so they're easy to work with. They're feed efficient, so you kind of get like a 1-to-1 ratio in what you put in, what you get out. And they also have a productive lifespan, so they have babies quite often, regularly, and they're disease resistant.
So I'll be going down through the definitions, starting with bovine animal of your cattle group, including bison, heifer, female bovine that has not given birth, cow bovine that has given birth, and bull bovine that has inadequate sexual organs, and still the bovine that has been castrated, and finally calf, a young bovine that is less than a year old. All right, we're gonna give you guys a pop quiz. Guess the cattle breed.
Oh, that one?
Please. You guys want to shout it out.
Black Angus.
Black Angus.
I'm gonna go with B just for the heck of it.
It's American Wagyu is the crossbreed of a Wagyu and primary Angus cattle.
That was not an option.
It is number 8.
Never mind.
That's just a fun fact.
So that's where the restaurant name comes from.
We're gonna get the pop quiz. Guess the cattle breed.
That is ramen, right?
Yeah, you're right, lady. It is ramen.
I'm so awesome.
Ramen is a breed of Bois. Bos Indigenous, one of the 2 strains of cattle. The other is Bos Taurus. And the last pop quiz. Guess the cattle breed.
He has an elephant.
You are correct. This breed originates from southern England. It's a Hereford, by the way.
Okay, so for our capstone, we had to conduct a SWOT analysis for Rocky G Moo Cow Farm. Basically, SWOT is just strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to success. So we just got to assess our farm. And we also had to establish short and long-term goals with an implementation plan, how we wish to carry out and reach those goals. Create a sample budget with expected profits for the farm, and also establish a grazing and vaccination plan for the cattle.
All right, our SWOT analysis provided us with good results that our strengths are we're equipped with adequate supplies, including state-of-the-art barn with pesticide spray machine, water heaters, insulation, weight scales, etc. And we have 2 full-time workers at any given time because the son and the father, they kind of have to run the farm. And the father also owns a baling business at the same time, and he gets to keep 1/5 of all the bales that he does for all the other farmers. We also have a established supplement plan because Timmy G has the animal nutrition background. And as we are on tribal land right now, it is all tax exempt, which hopefully likes taxes. Our weaknesses is we have a 1.5 mortality rate, which means that about 1 cow and 1 calf die each year. We also have a very short growing season. We only have 20 weeks if we're going to have anything to grow, because the winter season lasts 36 weeks, so we only have 20 weeks to grow. Minimal ranch hands, yeah. Not a lot of people want to do this kind of job. Our opportunities are to expand into the dairy industry, which would be a lot more profitable. Our threats are food supply and long winters. Like I just said, 36 weeks, 20 weeks. Yeah, it's not fun.
Okay, so here we have our farm setup. Okay, so the cows will come in from that top entrance where it says entry from outside holding area. This is where we'll keep all of the cows, and then as we need to work them, they'll push through on your right side. And that has a self-latching gate that will help to separate the cows and the calves. And then you can see on the bottom, it gets more narrow. That allows us to work with the cows one-on-one. Where you have open spaces where it says weigh scales, we'll have a setup similar to the picture on the top left. And that's when we'll put our pesticide spray machine, help keep the, that's where we'll put the pesticide to keep the bugs off of the cows. And then we also get to weigh them. Having this setup helps us to reduce stress on the animal. And just let us, keep the workers and keep the cows safe. And just for reference, we learned this week that a lot of us don't know our states. So we have a picture of where Nebraska is at. Smack down in the middle of the U.S.
I will never forget that.
Okay, so every farm needs a grazing plan, and with this grazing plan, it helps reduce the cost of the cattle feed and maximize our growing season. This is a system with many pastures, sometimes referred to as paddock. Livestock are moved frequently from paddock to paddock. That's what those little squares are. A paddock is based on forage growth and use. So every time, a group of cows are done grazing, then we move them to the next one, and then that just minimizes our feed. And we have another pop quiz. Are you guys ready? You can just shout it out. Scottish.
Hey.
Oh, what'd you say?
C-H-A. A.
A.
Hosting.
C. Anyone?
A. Okay. And it is A.
The breed this produces approximately 9 gallons of milk per day during a standard lactation of 305 days.
So there's over 9 million dairy cattle in the US. 90% of them are Holsteins.
Just a Scottish Highland
Okay, yeah, you got that right. Their forelock helps prevent diseases from insects such as pink eye and cancer.
They're so cute. I love you.
Stop! It's a lion!
Do you guys
know this one?
Is that like
Angus.
And that is right. This breed is cold, meaning that it has no horns whatsoever.
Wait, what kind of breed? So what kind?
It's a black Angus.
I love cows.
Like
She's so
it's
cool.
all black Angus / preferred black quality.
So this is a vaccination plan. What Sarah was talking about with the pesticide spray, this also helps prevent some of the diseases. And one of the diseases in Nebraska is the bovine respiratory disease. This is the most commonly infectious disease with the cattle and calf operation, which we are having. So where you see the red triangle, that's where we give the vaccines and the antibiotic injections. And then we also want to get our vet involved as soon as possible. And if we don't do that, then our whole entire herd is infected, and then we would lose a lot of money.
So, for the short-term goals, maintain herd, implement routine preventive care to reduce mortality rates, quote 5% of cows annually, sell 100% of steer calves, stock and plant winter feed, and invest in additional carriage for silage. And for the stick to annual budget, $57,000 spent on the farm between May to October and annually $3,500 on capital costs. For established partnerships with IFAI, IAC, USDA, etc. for funding opportunities, contact Benny Buer from the IAC for technical assistance.
Now we got our long-term goals. We're expand GM Bailey, increase heads of cattle. Expand GM Bailey, we're gonna receive compensation. So as of now, we receive compensation for our quarter bales from across 500 acres from our 3 business partners. I looked it up. Hay harvesting permits are no cost in the state of Nebraska. I'll contact the extension office, IFAI, and the Intertribal Agriculture Council for marketing purposes. See if there are any farmers in the area for baling services. We're also going to put an ad paper for the old folks and put a social media page for new people. We got to get these young farmers up and new. Increase heads of cattle and custom quality bull semen for our business donation. Now you know how it happens. From the Republican Valley Animal Center in all Nebraska, southern Nebraska, we're in northern Nebraska, quite a bit of ways. Establish favorable conditions to for cattle to create ideal breeding growing operations. And also diversify forage with nutrition. Oh, for the baling services, you need a, what's the term? I got a page. You can need a John Deere tractor, a mower conditioner, a tedder to fluff the hay, a wheel rake to put it into rows, and a roll baler to make those rolls. That's a roll baler up there. For the forage, we got big blue stem, little blue stem, Indian grass, switchgrass, which are Nebraska native grasses. That is big blue stem in that diagram. Thank you.
Well, it looks kind of different than what we had last time, but I'll just roll. So we're at everybody's favorite part right now, and that is money. So, just over here. All right, we have 3 part-time hands in the spring and the fall, which we're paying them about $17 to $18 an hour, so $32,000 between the 3 of them, because we're only hiring them out for 20 weeks. Though we do have one guy in the winter, he gets paid better, only because he works more hours. So since he's working the full 32 weeks of winter, we'll be adding him on for $23,000. And as far as feed goes, we're getting 400 bales from the baling business we're gonna have to purchase another 280 bales at $21,000. Each cow is gonna cost about $900 each on maintenance, veterinary upkeep, everything like that. Vet consultations are gonna be $20 a head. And preventative care, we're gonna go for the Sarah Farmer Rancher grants at $30,000. And we're also gonna go on the farm aid train, which goes round and round and round. All right, I think that wraps it up for us. Anybody have any questions at all? We want to hear them.
What kind of carrying capacity do you guys see on your
Carrying capacity.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Carrying capacity on the farm.
How many
cows per acre?
Oh, yeah. We have 200 on. So I think the rough numbers that we ran were probably about each cow and her calf needed what? 1.5 acres for themselves. So you can click back to where we have all of our acreage at. Okay, so I think we had 200 acres. Okay, so we had about 200 acres, which with 100 cows and 100 calves, you got a number. We had it yesterday. Bear with us. Oh, there we go. I knew we had it somewhere. All right.
Okay. So what was your question? I'm sorry.
Carrying capacity.
The carrying capacity. So we would have we have 200 head, and then our cow calf pairs.
What's 200 divided by 200?
Oh, 1 to 1.
1. Yeah, 1 to 1. There you go.
Yeah, sorry.
Our biggest problem is we overthink the entire thing.
Y'all went through that whole thing and y'all all knew the answer. It was like 200 acres. Y'all went through that whole thing.
Any more questions?
I do have a question, for this dairy and you're running, the 100 head of cows that are lactating a day to be milked, is that what I'm understanding? How many cows lactating cows are you having milked per day?
Yeah, so we actually don't have any dairy operations going on our farm. We just have a cow-calf operation, but we put that in our opportunity to look for like additional income if we did want to move into a dairy operation.
Thank you for that clarification.
What did you learn about Black Angus this week?
Let's go.
No.
That's a very niche answer if you're in our class. It's like an inside joke.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I saw that you all are planning to use native grasses, which I love, on your farm, but they do have less protein than some of the other non-native grasses that people usually use. Did you all consider that factor when you decided on your carrying capacity?
Yeah, so I realized that we didn't include it on our slides, but Rock and G Moon Cow Farm also has an additional 150 acres of silage. Wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Okay, it wasn't included. So we're using that to supplement our feed. Timothy, our renowned son over here, he has a background in animal nutrition, so he has worked with the farm to establish a really great supplement plan. And then from the hay bale that we received from the GM baling business, like all of that's incorporated into their feed and nutrition to keep our cattle healthy. And we've also budgeted to purchase additional bales of hay to keep our livestock well fed during the winter season.
Any other questions? Great
All right, up next, we have coordinator from our health and nutrition tracks, and those were led by a team of people from in a special partnership that we got to have for the first time this year with the Oklahoma Tribal Engagement Partners. And thank you all so much for leading the track and coming in and helping make sure we have robust curriculum for our health and nutrition track from people with strong backgrounds in this area and expertise. I'll pass it to Teresa to introduce their capstone assignment.
Okay, thank you. I'm Teresa Jackson. I am a hobby Muskogee Creek Cherokee and Yuma from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Registered dietitian, nutritionist. I'll do a quick introduction of our team. We've got Tiffany Grant over here is another dietitian with our team. Back in the back, Keaton Springer. Oh, he's the entertainment. I'm just kidding.
Don't even lie, I was in it.
And then Stephanie Parker. PhD back there joining us. So big team. We also have some great speakers, and Alexa Hare was one who did a wonderful job talking about traditional foods. Danae Dex, who I think everyone got to be a part of one of her presentations, is doing wonderful work as another native dietitian. So great time. We covered a lot of different topics, from lesson planning to working with limited food resource audiences. We did some health literacy. We talked about using Indigenous knowledge, a little bit on public health theory and evaluation, traditional foods and policy, and then of course dietary guidance, talked about food labels, food safety, recipe, how to find them, how to modify them, lots of great information. And I do feel like we just barely covered the surface on things. But our group, we've got 3 different groups. We asked them to be nutrition and or health educators in their communities and asked them to prepare to teach a class or a workshop related to health and or nutrition. So as groups, they were to choose a nutrition or health topic. They were to create a flyer to advertise for that class or workshop. They were to also write their learning objectives, at least 3 learning objectives for the class or workshop, to complete a lesson planning tool, so really going through each step to plan this class or workshop. And then also to have a plan or create a plan for how they would evaluate that nutrition or health class or workshop. We did pre-assign them a specific audience and a setting. So our 3 groups, the first group that you'll hear from is Zach, Sabrina, and Michaela. They were given the audience of adults, and their setting was a wellness center. The second group that's going to go is Joey and Mercedes. They had elders as their audience, and their setting was a senior center. And then the third group that's going to go is Eli and Kira, and their setting was an after-school program with the audience of elementary school youth. So maybe refresh folks, and that's one of your presentations when you guys get up there. Okay, sorry, so completely messed that up, and it was on the screen in front of me. So this is the group that is doing elders and senior center. This one's on. You guys know that one.
Hello, I'm Joseph Magnuson. I go by Joey. Grew up in Tulsa. I'm of the Peoria tribe of Oklahoma. I'm going to school at UNC Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Pursuing medicine, biology degree right now. Kind of hoping to serve underserved communities. So yeah, let's see where that takes me.
Hello, my name is Mercedes Moran. I'm enrolled in the Turlock Management Law, and I'm also a master's student at Northwestern State University in North Dakota. And yeah, we created a workshop for the elder population.
So our overarching goal is to educate the elderly population on the importance of nutrition and exercise and preventing chronic diseases. And while we're doing that, we're trying to promote the use of traditional foods and culture. So our first learning objective is to get participants familiar with chronic diseases that are common amongst their age group. So we're going to be discussing things like hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, sarcopenia, which is like muscular decay, essentially in older people. And our learning objective for that is at the end of the workshop, we want them to be able to define these common diseases and kind of be familiar with their causes, what they are, and kind of how they can be prevented. Because if you have that foundation of understanding what those risks are and what those chronic diseases are in your population, you can kind of better attack it with that kind of understanding. And then next we have diet education. So the goal here is to kind of familiarize this population with what it takes to prevent those chronic diseases from a nutritional standpoint. So our first step would be kind of discuss my plate. We're kind of familiar with that. Getting our fruits, veggies, dairies, proteins, and grains. And then incorporating my native plate on top of that. So taking that healthy nutritional standpoint and making sure that we're incorporating cultural and traditional values, because there's a lot of pride when you incorporate, you know, your culture into your daily habits, and My Native Plate is a great way to do that. And then we kind of go over to discussion, and we go through some things like some recipes. We went over some of those in our track groups, kind of about you know, what changes can we make, say if budget is an issue, or if we're trying to incorporate traditional foods, those kind of things. So we kind of talk about some problem solving and some ways we could work around health issues, budget issues, or just trying to incorporate those traditional foods.
And then for our third objective for our workshop, we wanted to promote some healthy habits for these elders. Obviously, as you age, it's a lot harder to do the things that you'd like to do previously. So we wanted to, let the elders be aware of some exercises that they can do. So we want to promote walking, yoga, some morning stretches, or incorporating some exercise into their daily lives. Like we had some ideas on traditional dances or shoulder and ankle mobility, water aerobics, anything that they can do to promote an active lifestyle. And how we will evaluate this workshop. So there will be 2 things right away at the end of this workshop, and then something 2 weeks later that we'll send out. So the things that we will give them right at the end of the workshop is just like a short quiz that will evaluate the success of the learning objectives. So just to see if they were able to meet those learning objectives and if they actually learned anything from our workshop. And then during our demonstration of physical activities, we just wanted to see if they would be able to do those simple daily activities, but just like a physical evaluation of that. And then 2 weeks later, we will send out a survey, a Google form or something like that, to determine if participants have changed their eating habits or increased their physical activity levels. So by sending out the survey, we will be able to see if we need to like take anything out of the workshop, if that was like unnecessary, or if there was additional needs that were not met during the workshop. So it really just help us improve the workshop. And here's a promotional flyer that we made for this workshop. Has a time, date, and where we'll be at. There's no registration fees, so it's easy to access, and it has all of the activities that we'll be doing during this workshop, and we'll be posting this throughout the senior center, so hopefully people will be aware of this workshop that we are doing. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Is there an age requirement? Do you have to be, what if an elder wants to bring their granddaughter with them to join in the workout, or swim or whatever?
I mean, due to like the community nature of like natives in general, I don't see that. That probably wouldn't be a problem, I don't think. Yeah. I would be willing to accept like a grandchild or something like that.
Yeah, even though like our goal is, you know, the older population, there's nothing wrong with, you know, if we can educate kids, then that's just as good, because if they have a head start on that material, then, you know, it kind of lays out that foundation. So there's definitely nothing wrong with that.
You guys said you guys are conducting a survey. How are y'all sending that survey out? My grandma don't know how to use email.
That was going to be one thing. We could obviously do it kind of through different platforms. So if people, because we'd be collecting information from people. So if an email address wasn't provided, or you know, they say that we could have a question on our surveys that's like, what's the easiest way to contact you? And we can kind of follow those routes. It doesn't have to necessarily be through email. So.
Hi, great presentation. I was just wondering if you guys could expand a little bit more on what My Native Plate is, because I've actually never heard of that.
I wish we would put a picture up there for it.
Yeah. So have you like seen the like My Plate model where it's like that? So one of the big things that I guess I took away from the health and nutrition part of it is there's like no dairy. Because, you know, a lot of us are lactose intolerant, so instead of having that dairy component, we'll to replace that calcium, to include some like dark leafy greens within your diet, and just incorporating more traditional foods into the microwave model.
Yeah, so there's like a heavy emphasis on, those traditional foods like wild grains and things like that. And then one of the biggest differences is that there's no dairy. It's just water on there. So yeah, but really the big thing is just getting those traditional foods in there to kind of promote that culture aspect of it. So.
Very cool, thank you.
Just like a visual guide for our dish.
So in the same vein of that question, what made you decide to use both My Plate and My Native Plate?
Some people not aware of both of them. I know that My Plate is a relatively new organization as far as that soil population. Might not know what My Plate is, and obviously My Native Plate is more culturally relevant, and we're able to incorporate those like traditional foods, so that's why I'm excited to include both.
Wait, sorry, go ahead.
First, okay. You guys might have mentioned this earlier, but what would you do for like elder transportation? Like, what if they don't have family members that can drive them around or something? Would you guys supply like transportation to your events?
Yeah, I would imagine that would probably be something that the senior center would probably consider, because we would be coming to them, in my mind, the way this project was kind of presented to us. So in my mind, they're probably already there, already have access to the senior center. But if not, I would imagine that, some buses or things like that would be pretty common to find at the senior center.
I think that is something we did not consider when we were making this, so.
I just wanted you all to think about your futures, and would you use a plan like this? Do you think you would do anything that you might want to expand on further in the future?
Like in your real life?
Oh, in our lives? I definitely think it would be fun for me personally to incorporate more traditional foods, because I know that's not something that my family does a lot of personally at home. Because we're kind of like a mix of a lot of different things. So our family focuses a lot on like Lebanese food, but I think it'd be really interesting to kind of focus more on some Peoria dishes and things like that, other native and traditional foods. That's definitely something I'm interested in doing after going through this track and things like that. But also I like ice cream, so I'm probably not going to worry about that too much as far as my diet. So yeah.
I guess for me, I'm also lactose intolerant like many Native Americans, so I will be incorporating more dark leafy greens into my diet.
Well, our project is the Indigenous approach to health and nutrition. I am Michaela Janice, and I'm a descendant of the Indigenous tribe.
My name is Sabrina Baker, and I'm white Ojibwe of Minnesota.
And my name's Zach, and I guess Danielle, my brother. I'm sure most of you know that by now. We're both Peoria tribe, Indians of Oklahoma, and I'm from Tulsa.
Well, for our class objective, that upon class completion, participants will be able to classify their health habits according to the medicine wheel. And then for our introduction, we kind of wanted to do the Western perspective on health, about the absence of illness is like the clinical definition of being healthy, and talked about BMI or body mass index, which does not take into account of many other factors of like lifestyle, and it's mostly just singular focus. And then just medications, diet, and exercise. There's a lot of different pros and cons to why this hasn't really been working for a lot of people who live in the United States, and especially not for Indigenous populations.
And we did want to keep this. We did want to keep this pretty interactive, so our audience was supposed to be adults at a wellness center. So these are people who are interested in their health, but they're also old enough to be able to handle this for themselves. So we're trying to keep people engaged and get them thinking. So we're going to be asking questions throughout. We want y'all to try and think of some pros and cons. What are some good things and some bad things about the Western model?
Right off the bat, like BMI, like there's different cultures and communities that the body mass index doesn't really match for. It's modeled off of like a singular type of people, and it doesn't necessarily work as well as diet, as we got from the last presentation. Diet differs from culture to community, you know? So if it's all based on one model, it's not really reflecting the community that it's supposed to be intended for.
That's exactly what we're looking for. BMI is up there to be that softball of like, yes, we have this metric and we use it a lot, but does it work for everyone? And the answer is no, it really doesn't. A lot of doctors are aware of that now, but it's still one of the core approaches to some pros of this. What's the good thing about Western medicine?
It's keeping us alive.
It's keeping us alive for a long time. It's doing that. It's mostly science and evidence-based. It's entirely research done. Nothing gets introduced to Western medicine without being thoroughly researched to make sure that it works. And that's why it's so big now, is because we know that what we try works. To start.
Sometimes the Western medicine, one of the cons is they want to give you a pill for everything when versus finding other solutions, more natural solutions rather than quickly, here's the pill, here's your prescription, and I'll see you in 3 months.
That's exactly it, yeah. That's the other side of that coin of efficiency. Like, yes, it'll work fast and we can get you a solution, but are you going to change your lifestyle? Is it actually going to be helpful for you? Or are you just going to be married to this pill for the rest of your life?
They won't tell you to remove the stressors in your life. As you said, the lifestyle changes.
Yes, so it's less holistic, yes.
Fix the symptoms without the causes.
Exactly.
Diet and exercise are both good to your mental soul and your physical health. Just like gym.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a holistic contributor, and the treater is just a physical. So the indigenous approach, one of the core symbols that we chose to focus on was the medicine wheel. So by show of hands, has anyone seen this or know what this represents? Okay, well, that's going to make this next part easy. Who knows the parts of the medicine wheel? Okay, I'm going to shout them out.
Can't count. That's empty.
I think black is spiritual health.
Spiritual health is on there, but use the red one for spiritual health.
Okay.
The way this one is reading is approaches to health. So what are some aspects of your health? What are things you have to take care of in your life?
Body, mind, and spirit.
Body, mind, and spirit. So yes, the white is mind, yellow is body, red is spirit. Does anyone know the black? It's okay, it's not. So it's actually extra personal. It's not just one person, but it's your community. So social health.
So health according to the medicine wheel. The mental health, which is the white part, is self-image and mental illness. And so, like a lot of us younger people in the room, diet culture. It's a big thing, it's everywhere, and it affects all of us. And mental illness, anxiety, depression, different things like that, all the stressors that come with life. Physical health is yellow, so athletics, illness, medicine. Like she had said, the doctors just want to prescribe a pill for everything before actually thinking, well, what this is, what's causing it, maybe you can remove this, or if you do that, it'll get better. Spiritual health is the red part, that's religion, culture, identity, how you align yourself with whatever you choose to. And social health is the black part, and that's community, relationships, and family. So the red is your ancestors, your elders, different things like that. Food is a health topic. What is your relationship with food? Is it positive or is it negative? Any of you have a, well, I assume all of you have a relationship with food. Everyone eats stuff.
So we asked that, we're looking at like, how do you feel about food? Is food something that you're wary of because you're watching weight or calories, want to make sure you're eating the right thing? Is it a part of your culture, your community? Like thinking about food as more than just carbs, fats, sugars, proteins, all that. We want you guys to think a little bit about what food is for you as it relates to health and that holistic model of health that includes the medicine.
And which foods are healthy?
Yeah, can anyone name some healthy foods? Throw them out there, throw them out loud.
Lettuce.
Kales.
Salmon.
What about unhealthy foods?
Like
Canned foods.
So the question for you is, what is unhealthy about unhealthy foods?
Right.
Excess sodium. Additives.
Excess sodium.
Preservatives.
Saturated fats.
Artificial sweeteners.
Here's the thing that we also wanted to talk about. Like, if we picked an unhealthy food like a cake or a donut, is it always inherently just bad for you? What if you're using it to celebrate with friends or family? Is one slice of cake going to hurt you or harm your health more than the joy that you're getting from being with your family?
No.
So we wanted to pose the idea to you that food should not be vilified. It should not be made an enemy. Everything can fit into your diet nutrition plan as long as you're making sure to use moderation. And there are lots of foods that we talk about as being healthy because we're not getting enough of them, and we should be trying to increase our intake of those. So it's better to think about diet not as do's and don'ts, but what can I fit and still keep myself happy and healthy at the same time. I think it sits in the book.
Good job. And there's just a picture of the medicine wheel with the white being the mental, and then the yellow being the physical with the muscles. I wish I had muscles. Sorry, sidebar. And the red being spiritual, and the black being family relationships.
So free will. So we wanted to go through the medicine wheel, each of the 4 parts, and we want to get at least one positive and one negative way that food could impact each of these spheres. So starting with physical health, because that should probably be the easiest one for you. What's a negative? How can food be negative for your physical health?
Make you sleepy.
Yes. If you're overeating or eating too much sugar, you'll crash, or you'll tire out too fast. That's a positive.
Inability to be more active if you have a lot of weight from your foods, your diets.
So it's a big thing with energy as far as physical health goes. So if you're eating incorrectly or eating poorly, not taking your diet seriously, then you can end up being more tired than you ought to be. Whereas if you're eating well, taking care of yourself, and still giving yourself treats as you need them, how you can still have energy coming from food. Food is a fuel source. So what about, that's the easy one. So what about mental health? How can food be bad for your mental health?
Diet culture.
Diet culture. That's one of our big buzzwords here. It's a lot of peer pressure to be under diet culture. You're constantly looking at yourself and thinking like, well, is this going to be good for me? I shouldn't have had that. Shouldn't have had the donut at the party because now I'm a pound heavier on the scale. So, positives for mental health?
It can cause focusedness.
Comfort food. Yeah. Comfort food is exactly what we're looking for. There are foods that are good for you just because you enjoy eating them. And if you enjoy them, you should eat them. You just have to moderate. So I think the other two are a little bit harder, so we might help you with those if you need them. But what is a positive about spiritual health?
History.
History, yeah. So we put it more as like cultural significance, the spirituality of food. Like it might be important in a ritual, it might be important to your family. Maybe it's something that you consider important to yourself because you've eaten it for so long with your elders. What about negative?
Also history.
Also history, yeah. Maybe there's a food that you don't have a good experience with. The way I always thought about it is the first time that I caught COVID, the cheapest thing on DoorDash was Wingstop, and I can't stand the taste of it anymore because it was so god-awful with that COVID taste in my mouth. Bad for my spiritual health. Okay, as a community, interpersonally, how can food be positive and negative? We hit one already. let's go with negative first.
I was gonna do positive. Bringing the community together, your people together to bless, like we have planned blessings and prayers at a certain time of the year. To give our blessing. It brings the people together for something that's important for our people.
So food representing something bigger, a piece of culture that connects the community together, is a lot of what we hit on with that. Negatively, and this is when we touched on a little bit on mental health. Go ahead.
I think of like fry bread, kind of like the historic part of that, right? Like it came out of a space of necessity, but like we all band around it still. It's good. It's one of those things that's good, but it's like also
A good and a bad. A good and a bad. The big one that we thought of as a negative for social health is the idea of diet culture. That was the one that we really hit on for that one because that's extra personal. That's peer pressure coming down on you, telling you what you should be eating and what's good for you, what's not.
Well, the flip side of that, I feel like, is when you do celebrations with food, if you are not wanting to eat foods that are high in fat, the peer pressure that comes from your family to enjoy those foods because they're part of the celebration.
So peer pressure, even more broadly. Okay, yeah, nice job. We listed some examples on the next slide, the reds being the negatives, blacks being positives. So we won't run through each of these, but this is just some of what we came up with. Some highlights of that: mental health. There are a lot of eating disorders that relate to undereating and overeating, both. And anorexia is actually the mental illness with the highest death because the restraint on food is so heavy. Beyond that, I think those are the big ones. That's the flyer we made. We tried to keep it fairly simple. We just wanted something that would be eye-grabbing, and if it's already in the wellness center, then it doesn't need to tell you too much. So we put it down for the courtroom. Okay.
Any questions?
Questions for us? We asked a lot of you all already, so.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of when Teresa asked the group earlier, but how do each of you see yourselves using this information in your careers? I know because each of you are going to have a different career, so.
So I work in a low behavioral group home, and I'm going to school for special education, and I guess I hope to take that degree and work in a school alongside parents who have kids on IEPs and 504 plans. And I think that with school lunches and not having the traditional foods and the peer pressure that kids go through, it'll be, I kind of feel like probably one of the biggest things that I could do is to carry this information along with me and to transfer it to the parents, to the students, to my future coworkers, to staff, administration, so that it's just everyone knows about it.
Yeah, and I can go off of that. I work in healthcare. I'm hopefully going to medical school next year around, but I work in a clinic right now where we take height and weight and we get our BMI, and if the BMI is over a certain level, then we are required to discuss with the patient how to cut down on their weight. A horrible conversation a lot of times because most people really don't want to hear that. A lot of people know it's coming because they've done it before. This approach, though, brings it out of just that physical health standard, and we can start discussing with people how food works in their lives mentally, spiritually, as a community. Maybe there are community determinants of their health. Maybe they are working with very little money, and the cheapest thing around is fast food. We can't judge a single mama for that. That's not her fault. But it kind of gets into the idea of that holistic medicine that Indigenous medicine has had for so long. Western medicine is just now getting into, which is why we're trying to introduce the medicine wheel as part of that culture that we can.
Yeah. And I guess I'm also working in healthcare as well, and I'm working with a diabetes educator this summer, and a lot of it's about BMI and like what your blood tests are, and so a lot of what we do is just kind of like regulate the drugs that people are on because they can't they aren't really taught how to control their weight. It's just mostly like they can afford it at this tribe, but most people can't afford the drugs, and especially like Ozempic. And then I want to do more like holistic healthcare. So it's more about around the culture and just more holistic in general.
So so this was one workshop, right? What kind of follow-up sessions would you think would be beneficial to follow up with something like this? Have you had a chance to think about that? I know you spent most of your time thinking about this workshop, but I was curious, what might you follow up with your participants?
I think a lot of that would come from the surveys that we work with afterward to pull from them and really feel like, okay, what are they understanding? What are they not? And if people are really interested in pulling this idea of Indigenous healthcare and practices into their lives, then we can start looking at things like the last group discussed, like my native plate, like how do you bring, because I feel like Western culture is pretty good about handling the mental and physical aspects of health, but if you want to get into spiritual and community as part of your food, then we need to start looking at, okay, well, let's incorporate some cultural foods, or let's handle how you feel food works as a part of your family. Moving on to those more complicated aspects.
Would you guys ever consider like working with like another program to maybe supply people with like these types of foods, indigenous foods? I don't know if you guys.
I don't know if we ever decided whether where we were speaking to just Native Americans or just those at the wellness center, but it would be interesting to work with like the FDIPR program, food distribution programs on Indigenous reservations, and how to better utilize those foods again to get into more of that cultural aspect of those foods and how can you use those to improve your relationship with foods. Yeah. Awesome. Anything else?
Great job.
Excellent job, you all. Thank you for all the thought that you are putting into these presentations. I will go ahead and flag for people joining virtually that we're probably going to time out on the live stream before this next presentation wraps up. And I'm sorry, Eli, for that, but thank you all for joining us virtually, those who did. And whenever the live stream comes out, just know we're going to be continuing these conversations and have the afternoon planning where we're going to celebrate the accomplishments now of everybody who participated. And we're also celebrating our 10-year anniversary of this event. So we have a fun, exciting afternoons planned. All right, thanks for your patience, you all, and we will hear from Kira and live stream.
All right, hello, I'm Alexis Lavala. This is Kira.
That's my name is Kira Brown. I come from the Navajo Nation, but I currently reside in Seattle, Washington.
All right, here's the squad. So Stu, like I said, I'm Alexis. All right, I guess you don't need to know that. I'm Alexis Lavala. I'm from Norwood, Oklahoma. I am Delaware and Cherokee. Before we get this presentation started, I wanted to ask y'all, kind of an open-ended question, but how much thought went into your last meal? Just think about it to yourself. A lot, a little. Be honest, there's no prizes, just, all right? Go back to that. And then follow up, how many of y'all's plates look like that one right there? It did? Yeah, I think so. All right.
Okay.
All right, so what is my plate? I know a couple of groups have already discussed what it is, but we went into a little more detail. My plate is really, it's just a general guideline by the USDA. It illustrates the 5 foods for a balanced diet. You can see they got the fruits, veggies, grains, protein, and then they include dairy. But what is my native plate? A lot of people know what my plate is, but for my native plate, it's catching on, but it's not as popular, I don't think, as it should be. The difference is it's culturally tailored for us natives, and it incorporates our traditional foods, and it addresses some of the different nutritional needs that maybe we encounter. Helps us a lot, like some of the groups mentioned, a lot of us are lactose intolerant. Sadly, we have higher rates of diabetes than any other race or ethnicity in the United States. So we need a little bit of it. Our plate looks different than everybody else's plate. And also traditional foods, stuff that's indigenous to us, the best foods in my opinion, it's delicious. All right, and what is FDIPR? I like to call it that. It's a very fun word to say. I love acronyms. It's the food distribution program on Indian reservations. It provides nutritious food to low-income Native American households. Why is it so important? It supports food security within Indigenous communities. It promotes access to healthy foods and helps address food insecurity. And it offers culturally relevant foods and nutritional support. We have, that's the front side of like the foods available, and then on the next slide we have some of the traditional foods they include. It kind of varies kind of where you're at and what they have access to. As you can see, they got some bison, some blue cornmeal, some walleye, some good stuff. All right, now to our project. Our project is a one-day workshop. It's kind of will be taught in 2 stages. The first stage is this really cool game we found. It's called magnet fishing. You may have done it before. You get one of those little poles. You put some paper fish in there, put some paper clips, and then we put the different foods that we want to include to be on my native plate. And depending on where we're at, we'll put whatever tribe's location, what they call it, with their language, if they have something in it on there, and they catch it. And so that's the first step. And once these kids have caught it, they will divide into separate groups, and they'll be instructed on kind of what my native plate is and how they can use the food they have to create their own balanced diet and kind of really think about the food they're putting in your bodies. Because like that first slide, it's not a lot of people really think too much about the food they're eating. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Life can get busy. As you get older, you get caught in kind of cycles of just mindless eating. So instilling real mindful eating and being aware of what you're putting in your body and how it affects you and how it makes you feel, instilling that at a young age, I think, is really important. Some of the objectives from our program would be students will be able to create a balanced my plate using traditional foods provided by the FDIPR. Students will understand the importance of language and tradition in food and activity, and students will choose the healthier option when tasked with planning for their own food.
So we also wanted to touch a little bit on the holistic health on the areas to the younger individuals, because as it is important to adults, it's extremely important to the young individuals so that you can instill it at a young age. So we really just wanted to approach holistic health on preventative care and lifestyle modifications. So and natural healing methods. By addressing we just wanted to address the person as a whole, so that can aim to promote health and wellness overall and have a better quality of life.
Here's our flyer. Some of you got a sneak peek of it. I want to brag, I created it. I think it looks pretty good. It's just a mock flyer. I guess if any of you are ever in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, it won't be there, so don't go there. You could go check out our tribal center. But we included the free food first because it's going to get people there. Interactive activity. I love, especially when you're working with children, getting them involved. They're not. Of all the age groups, they're the one you can just sit and lecture the least with, even me, I like to get up and move around. All right, we included the ages, and I love my plate. that design of it, because that's more than native place. I don't got the dairy on there, and it's just kind of, it's pretty to look at, I guess. I'm using this as a mic, didn't even realize it.
Okay, and then for the end of our project, since basically we based it in Oklahoma, I just wanted to add on to like an actual program that is actually up and running. This is the Eagle Adventure Program. It's a collaborative initiative between the Oklahoma Tribal Engagement Partners and various tribal nations, and they're aimed at promoting health and wellness through cultural education. These partners collaborate on various initiatives to support the needs and interests of their communities. And I think it's super important because this program also helps to blend cultural heritage with modern health education to promote holistic wellness in Indigenous communities.
All right, and for our evaluation, that QR code works here created. It's like a quiz. Now, obviously, the children, they're getting phones a lot younger and younger, but we print out something, but we just, we thought it'd be cool to include the QR code. Some of y'all, I know a couple of you must have phones, so you can scan it and see for yourself. Yeah, and we include that too, you know, it's working with kids, the parents are probably gonna be around, so they can also provide feedback.
I think it wouldn't work.
Any questions?
I'm just curious, have either of you had first-hand experience with vinegar? And I guess what are your thoughts on these?
They definitely taught a better game than I think that they do, but they've been better. They're getting better in my opinion. But it's been a little while since.
I guess I firsthand have a little bit of experience with the vinegar, but only with my family on Staff Nation when I go to visit them somewhere. Sometimes I'll see that they'll get the blue corn mush, or they'll get like, you know, some powdered cheese or something like that, and like, I don't know, it's just not always like the greatest options, but it keeps them fed, you know?
Any more questions?
Convince little kids how important this is. When I was 6 and I ate candy, I was feeling better. How do you go about doing that? Tell them like how big of a deal it is.
That's a great question. Yeah, because we could just sit there and tell them instead of go through one and write the other, go through much on a sticker bar, as we're saying. But really just kind of bringing them together and engaging them and letting them have fun and pick out the food they eat. Because little kids famously picky. I was once a little kid once, as most of you have been. And yeah, so it's a hard demographic to reach, but if you can get them together and having a choice and having some form of responsibility, no matter how large, and kind of gives them some agency in their own decisions, then I think it does a great deal in kind of getting the ball rolling and understanding that. But having a relationship with food and being mindful about your food is like, it's a lifelong mission, because there's times for all of us when it gets hard to really, you know, kind of settle down and be cognizant of what you put in your body. But just starting it young at whatever level, I think is just the mission for this.